but my buddy, Big S, his son, he used to drive us to fucking Tennessee games when he was 9. 9.
Because Big S was drunk.
Yeah. Like little some bitch could do it, and this was 2000, whatever. Like, I'm just saying, like, that's some kids got that spirit.
I feel like that's kind of a gracious way to assess that. Some kids got that spirit. It's like,
I'm just saying I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Some kids have drunk daddies who make them drive them home.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, Airheads. It's time once again for Putting on Airs, talking fancy stuff, two dipshits. That's what we do here. I'm Trae, that's Cho. Cho's on the mend. He's got a broken-ass voice, but is doing his best to treat it. How's he treating it? You guessed it, getting drunk. It does work, though. It does help. Speaking of
that's
our
a
voices,
remedy that crosses the cultural divide too. That's fancy and trash, baby. That's a this show remedy is whiskey and tea. I mean, fuck me, dude. This is hot tea, and the canister I got it out of got that bitch the Queen face on it. This is
it is fancy remedy. And trash. You're right, because
hottie toddies are not completely trash, but we love them.
Well, another treatment. I'm thinking about alcoholic treatments, right? Because one of my favorite drinks is vodka tonics, right?
Yeah, because the tonic
originated as G&T's, gin and tonic.
Yeah.
And that originated with like
healing
British people treating their soldiers for malaria with actual tonic water. That's the reason it's called tonic water, is because it was a medical treatment back in the day. And they were like, well, we can't not have gin. And also, it's just a good addition to, dude, I've said my babysitter when I was real little, which
Minnie Eva Dulworth.
Yes, Minnie Eva Dulworth. People need to understand when I say...
I'm sorry, I ain't supposed to say her name.
No, that's fine. People need to understand when I say my babysitter, I don't want them to picture some teenage redneck girl with a football playing boyfriend or whatever. She was a 350-pound redneck gypsy woman named Minnie Eva Dulworth, right? Mm-hmm. And she did not give a fuck, all right? Used to drink nothing but Diet Mountain Dews out of a straw, and she'd rub people's warts away with her redneck gypsy magic. She used to take payment in food stamps for child watching services. This is back when food stamps were paper, like actual stamps. You could pay her to watch your kids with food stamps. Just real white trash stuff, really putting her on blast. But hey, rest in peace. We all loved her dearly.
See, every time you say this, I'm really putting her on blast. I'm like, you're describing the fucking hittingest motherfucker I've ever met in my goddamn life. I'm like, what do you mean? When I
die, also make you pick your own switch out to get, get your ass whipped with.
So you know who else did that when I was a kid? Some of the best people I know, some of the most respect, some of the people I have the fondest memory of whooped my ass the hardest. Now look, we know it's not right now, but I'm comfortable enough and I'm mentally strong enough to not blame that generation because they didn't know no better. You know what I mean? They really thought that they was loving us by whooping our ass with with barbed wire.
I've been a pretty big bleeding heart type or whatever my whole life, but until I had my own children and they were real and they were a real thing in front of me, my whole life up until that point, I still defended whoopings. I still defended corporal punishment.
I did until I met you.
Philosophically, I did. I would be like, I did that whole thing. It was like, look, I got my ass whipped. I turned out fine. Hell, some of them need it. Some of them need their goddamn ass whipped. You know, like that's how I used to really think. And then I actually had kids, and I was like, I'm supposed to beat him?
Yeah,
like,
I'm with you, dude. Like
that just don't feel right to me.
I never I never went on stage and did and the reason I didn't do this bit on stage is because every other black comic did it. Why would I?
Yeah, right.
That's another thing that rednecks and black people have in common is
absolutely
a beat your kids joke. And but you're right. In my brain though, I would be like, look, man, I'm not gonna beat my kid, but I'm going to tattoo him if they're doing some bullshit. And now that I got him, I'm like, there ain't no way in hell. But I didn't, you're the one that made me and you had this conversation. You're like, man, when you have one, I was like, yeah, that don't make, I don't know how. And also it's like, we go, I got my ass whooped and I turned out fine. It's like me and you both know that's bullshit.
Fine.
We didn't know it. Now I'm not blaming my mama for that. Right. But I don't know that weren't a little bit of it. I think it was a cocktail that turned us into.
I kind of have a bit right now where I hadn't even thought about it as far as getting whipped, but I have this thing where it's like basically I'm talking about how I'm worried about my kids being spoiled or whatever. And it's like, they need some adversity, you know, it's like they need to like, because adversity made me the man I am today, a self-hating depressive with pronounced anxiety.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's like you have the opportunity just to let your kids get to where you're at now without going through the stuff you went through, which would have been your dream, but you don't want to do it because how will they get there if they don't? You know what I mean? It's like,
it's exactly what it's like.
And dude, like I know so many dudes with great childhoods that have great parents and they succeeded and they were fine. You know what I mean? Like they were fine.
I mean,
they also don't want to hang themselves.
Mostly what happens.
Yeah, they don't turn into. I mean, like I'm not saying that there aren't some that turn into pussies, but like, bro, there's you know how you just said too. You were like, and there's some people you look at them, you go, well, goddamn, they need their ass whooped, dude. I'd say about 90% of them people that we're thinking of right now, their problem actually was that they got their ass whooped in the wrong way too much. Like I know good and well, every fucking dude I'm thinking about right now who my dad or mom will be like, I'll tell you what, they need their fucking ass whooped. When I went back later, like their dad ended up shooting them, you know, or they kicked their mom in the head because of like she put them in a fucking torture rack when they were 3 and they wouldn't shut the fuck up during Bob Barker or something like that. Like every one of them, it's like, no, actually, now that we think about it, they needed their ass beat far less.
That's true. It's a good point. What I was going to say about my redneck gypsy babysitter was she used to give us, if we were sick, had a cough or something like that, she'd give us moonshine. She had some peppermint moonshine specific. That was the kids' jar. It's like she had regular moonshine, but they also had peppermint moonshine for the kids, right? I mean, literally, that's 100. That's how it worked. And it's like if you was a little sick or something, she'd give you a little like whatever thimbleful type, not a thimble, but a little thing of peppermint moonshine and make you take it. And then
my granny
used to work.
My granny was the biggest God-fearing Christian woman who, you know, lived by the word, like the actual word, like, you know, was sweet to everybody and would let anybody come in her home and, you know, all that Jesus shit. Teetotaler, thought all that shit was horrible, but had peppermint schnapps because of sick. Like whiskey wasn't, getting drunk was a sin. Right. You know, using it as to make you better that's not. It's like getting drunk and laying with women. That's the sin. But like, that's all they had. They didn't. I mean, well, they had heroin, you know, back in her. But like, you had to go to the doctor to get the heroin. Yeah.
But yes, they were. Yeah, it is funny. We think about it's like that's all they had, but it's like no, the doctor would just give you hair. They put heroin in soda pop and stuff.
Yeah, but for the people that could go to the doctor. Like, Granny and them couldn't just go to the doctor. First off, they have a
Ford soda pop.
Or a Ford soda. Oh, dude, yeah. So it's like that. I mean, the main reason people made moonshine was to either, A, you literally were like, I'm an alcoholic and it's prohibition on and I got to drink. B, that's the only way you could afford to drink as much as you want. Or C, you needed to make some money because it was this depression on. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was all for the greater good and medicinal in some way. Like,
yeah, I'd like to open up a question to our fans. I was thinking about this when we were doing we read the ads, the commercials. We read those before we start the actual episode. I was listening to you this time, and of course we talk all the time. I hear you talk all the time. But for some reason, one of those ad reads, I was like, this motherfucker country is hell today. And it's like, maybe you know why? You're drinking a little whiskey. So maybe you are actually more country, but it made me wonder. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just don't experience it because why would people say it to me? But I feel like my accent comes up all the motherfucking time. Does that happen to you too from people? Because I always feel like people just like accept that you talk the way you do.
They do, man. I think it's because you're smarter.
But whose accent is like thicker in a vacuum, like objectively speaking?
I think we both have equally thick accents. They're just different accents. Like,
but yours somehow plays for people just fine, and mine
I think it's because
of
how I look, dude. Weird. You're wearing fucking black rimmed glasses, and you got nice hair, and and I look exactly how I sound. You often don't. You know what I mean? Like, you often don't. I look exactly how I sound. But like, no, dude, bro, I'm on speed and drinking whiskey right now. You're gonna get me at my uncle. You know what I mean?
And just so, because we haven't even made it clear, if you didn't listen to Well Read this week, he's doing that because his voice is super fucked up.
Yeah, I'm not just trying to get fucked up.
Yeah.
I've been trying not. As a matter of fact, I've been like, I didn't want to do Well Read yesterday because I was like, if I do Well Read, I'm going to have to do this also. And I don't want to do it 2 days in a row because I don't want to go on a fucking binge, you know. But here we are. You know, don't ever say I didn't do anything for you guys. Also, that's just how much I love this goddamn show. But no, man, nobody really ever I don't get that as much. You know, I think people just kind of expect it. I mean, I've definitely had I've had the sort of, and I ain't shitting on him, but like the Pete Holmes treatment that you got, you know, where he was like thinking you were doing a bit. I have had some people, and I think it's because their only experience with me was as the Buttercream Dream. Like, they didn't know we had a podcast. They'd never seen my stand up. I think they truly just thought like, and I understand that, you know, like thinking that guy is completely fucking cartoonish and made up. And they'd be like, oh, wow, they're like, you really talk like that. And some of them were like, matter of fact, you kind of sound more redneck as not the Buttercream Dream. And I was like, yeah, I know, because I've always felt like doing those videos, I kind of had to enunciate so that people, because I talk so goddamn fast, and I'm like, I got to fucking say all these things with all the goddamn G's on them so you understand what the fuck I'm saying. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah, it is fun. I mean, no, I know exactly what you mean, because it's something people say to me as a compliment. A lot of people are like, how do you
say them words
they
with
don't
your
mean
accent
it that way? Yeah. Yes, but basically they're like, they're just kind of astounded that they can understand me, because like they're like, you talk so fast, but it's like, but you know, but how do you do that with that accent? You know,
enunciate.
It's like you said, but I also, like you, it's like I actually concentrate on, even though I have my accent, make sure I say the words clearly. I mean, because I know that I'd be talking fast and like an idiot. So. Listen,
it's very difficult to keep a straight face and call us professional at anything. But I've been in the entertaining arts in some form or another, starting out in stand-up, writing books, whatever, for 21 years. Along the way, I learned how to speak to people and make them understand me, because I've been on stage for 21 goddamn years. So, like, you know, you figure it out. Like, it don't matter how funny I am if you can't understand what the fuck I'm saying. And like, I've like went to upload a video and actually and like I had somebody accuse me of code switching one time, and I was like, fuck, man, they're not wrong though. I was like, I totally was like trying to like enunciate everything so that I could get my point across. And I really do believe that in there, a little bit of me was like, don't like put your accent aside, because people think I really think it came back, you know, like that thing that we've always tried not to do. I think every now and then it'll come back. You know,
I mean, I had a version with that because recently, because somebody asked me to send them some or something. I had to go back to my very earliest liberal redneck bits, and like, I was doing it on purpose because it was supposed to be way more of like a character at the time, right? But it's
but you still sound like all our friends.
Yes, dude. The original,
it's still your accent.
Liberal redneck videos. That's just the way
you just talk more like this.
More like this. That's how Salina boys talk. That's how they all talk. That's how I used to talk before I graduated. That's what people don't realize. It's like I've like
beating it out of yourself, and you still sound
right. And I still sound like this, and that's the truth. But like,
I know.
But so it used to piss me off so much when I was still doing that back when I would get all these comments, but like, that accent's clearly fake. This is bullshit. It used to drive me crazy. But when I go back and watch it now, I'm like, I mean, it kind of was. It's not it's my accent.
But you're not fake. It's turned up.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just turned up. That's all it is. But now that I don't do that anymore and I go back and watch them, I'm like, I mean, right. That's not how I talk.
But dude, I'll just put up a video that's just me promoing the fucking podcast, talking exactly like this, and a motherfucker will comment and be like, I'm from the same place. They're like, I'm from the same place that this guy purports to be from, and nobody sounds like that.
Drives me
and for
insane.
the record, I mean, not a lot of people do sound like me. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot of, like, my granny's people was from Alabama. My mama's people was all up from in Tennessee. You know, some of my daddy's people was in North Carolina and Pennsylvania. Like, I do have an amalgamation, but like, when they call, I'm from where this motherfucker from, I want to be like, well, if you from where I'm from, and I don't know who you are, you ain't shit, Jack. I can tell you that much right now. But like, you know, why? What do you mean?
Same thing, and it's always driven me truly nuts. And it's like, I've told it before, but it's like when I was on Veronica Mars as Chattanooga Charlie, multiple people,
I'm 10 minutes from there, they can't cast me,
who didn't know who I was, you know, just to watch the show. Multiple comments I saw. I say multiple. I mean, literally like 2 or 3, but people being
multiple.
Like, yeah, they're like, so love the show. I'm from Tennessee. I don't know what accent that actor was trying to do that played Chattanooga Charlie.
Hilarious.
But that was awful. Right. And I don't ever respond to people, but that right there, I've said from the very beginning, that particular thing is the thing that
I
can't ignore if I see it. So like these random people on Twitter, tweeting about it or whatever, I was like, hey, I'm that guy. I'm from that part of Tennessee, and that's just how I talk, just so you know.
It's funny. It's funny. By the way, if there's any company out there that I've always sort of made fun of, those coffee cups that like have a heater on the bottom that keep your coffee, warm or whatever.
No, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Do they take batteries or something? How does that work?
Yeah, batteries, or you charge them, and also
everything gotta be charged.
But some of them though, it's not the cup itself. It's the coaster. You sit your cup on your coaster stays in the same place.
Yes. And can't you use those same things for like candles, and they'll like heat the candles and put the smell out without?
I think so. Without it burning. Yeah. Well, anyways, my dad has one of them coffee cups, and I always sort of like not made fun of him, but I was like, that'd be stupid for me because like I need my coffee to cool down so I can chug the bitch. Like I need, like I'm not. And I was like, and also I've never personally really had a cup of coffee where it went cold before I got done with it, like, cause I'm drinking coffee. I love the taste of coffee. Don't get me wrong, but I'm doing it mostly for function. Right. That being said, now that I'm here sick and I'm drinking this hottie toddy and I'm wanting to drink it slow, like I could fuck with that. So if any company out there makes them and you want to fucking sponsor, send us some.
That would, you don't have to show it to people, but I can see the cup you have, and it's different.
You know what it is.
I do know what it is, and it's like
good. Let's talk about it. We've never talked about it on the show.
Well,
it fits.
I don't know what those are called.
I do.
But okay. But I just, Katie had those for years. So we had them for years. Cause it's like the basic white woman, like choice for
it's Ray Dunning. It's Ray Dunning. Ray Dunn.
Ray Dunn. Ray Dunn. Yeah, that's
for everybody that's just listening, it's Ray Dunn. Everybody that saw it immediately was like Ray Dunn, and it says Papa Bear. And Amber's got Mama Bear, and it's not that I dislike it.
It's just so.
It's just
Raven.
Because
just
everybody had
on the nose.
Now I'll say
it's
this:
just basic white people shit. It's what it is.
Yeah, but dude, like Amber, I'll give it up for Amber because like she really do be only having like these two coffee cups. That's like kind of the only Ray Dunn she has surprised. But the only reason is because when Ray Dunn first got popular, she was still out ratcheting, doing fucking trailer cocaine, popping that pussy at the club. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the only reason. If she'd have been if the hoe had been turned into the housewife. When Ray Dunn was at its peak.
Which we was already at that time.
Yeah, right.
We already had the kids and the house and the suburbs and all that. And Katie had that shit everywhere, bro. Everywhere.
Yeah. And as you know, Amber's also super cheap. The reason she got these is because it's not the trendy thing anymore. And these were just like, they don't not hit for her, for the record. Now,
they used to not hit for me because I don't know about the ones you had, but I remember the coffee cups used to piss me off because to make them like whatever fit their aesthetic, they were kind of irregularly shaped.
Yes, they're not shaped right.
Right. And
you can't
that's
sip
dumb.
them good. Like,
the fucking thing is
can you see? The top here, how it's like, it's not a circle. It's like,
it's irregular.
And that really sucks. Like, if I get it right here, it's like, that's a good, whatever.
And they do that shit on purpose to be cute or whatever, to fit the whole thing. And it's like, fuck being cute. It's a goddamn coffee cup.
Dude.
Like, I hate shit like that.
I don't know if they did it. Like, I don't know if Ray Dunn did this that way, but Coca-Cola actually, they've got a copyright on their bottle, like on the shape of their bottle. Like you can't do it. Like some people do weird shape and then they'll copyright it so nobody else can do it. So like even the aesthetic will let someone know what the silhouette will let someone know what it is. Now that said, Coca-Cola bottles hit. This don't hit.
Right.
But my goddamn sister's house though is fucking lousy with it, son. I mean, she is my sister. If my sister group was like, her age now, but in the 70s, she'd be the biggest pink Mary Kay car driving bitch you have ever met in your life, son. Because like before that, it was all the Fiesta ware, like the colorful plates and stuff like that. Now, for the record, that stuff don't not hit for me. I like it. They're good plates because you know why? They're actually shaped like plates.
Right.
So I could care less. Like put Earnhardt on it, put Dolly on it. These are just green, whatever. But like, yeah, my sister is that redneck that had like, you can just see how like where she was in her life. You just kind of pan through her house and see what all the trends through the years was,
Right. Yeah. Plate, it's funny. I used to have that joke about people's plates matching or whatever. Cause I did as a kid, I didn't know that was supposed to be a thing, like because we just had a various assortment of all different kinds of plates. So it's like I had like a favorite plate. It's like this is my favorite plate. You know,
right,
because they were all different.
We still got I still got a favorite plate. Amber does. Yeah. We got different plates.
Yeah.
We just now had a kid.
But you have, right. You have like kid, because what we have,
bro, we were still very much kind of living collegey before he came along. You know what I mean?
We have a very, like, ever since we've had kids, we've had cheap ass like plastic plates and stuff from Target that we use for day to day.
For him,
but when we're entertaining, which is literally never because of my wife's anxiety, but that's okay. I love her. But
wait, bro, you hold up, motherfucker! What? You don't want Nan in your house?
No, I do though. Only people who hit for me. Yes,
like me.
Yes, like you, Earl, James Bain,
that would
Drew when he lived here, Mark, people, people who hit for me.
Right?
Like,
that would hit.
If
I could do that.
If she was entertaining and bringing a bunch of people over here all the time that I didn't barely know or whatever, I would be like, this don't hit, obviously. Right. But I want my boys to come over here. But anyway, we got the plastic shit for just the family all the time, and then we have nice plates. They look like stoneware, but I don't think they actually are, but they look like it. And that never get used because we never have any reason to use them. But that's how we roll now. But
I'm sure that we got some of that for our wedding. I'm certain of it. And maybe it's out on our table that I don't know. But like, the only time we've ever entertained since we've had this house, and we've had this house for 4 or 5 years, we had one big ass Super Bowl party that did hit. I mean, it was a banger. I don't even remember what goddamn Super Bowl it was. That's how hard the party hit. But I woke up feeling like shit, and then I had to, clean that an actual big fucking house that mattered, and I was like, never again, and we would have like her sister and in-law and brother come over for Valentine's Day, but that's it. I don't be like she's convinced. She's like, well, we just don't have a party house because we have our house old as fuck. And old houses used to have rooms. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, did you know this? This was on the dock. I've been wanting to bring this up, and this is the perfect moment. So, like, we have been for years wanting her daddy to come in and bust one of these kitchen walls that goes into our like dining room, so that we can have like a more open plan. Now, I still definitely want that because I do want, I want to be able to cook and also talk to people who are sitting in another room at the dining table or whatever. Like, that would hit for me. It would open things up, and I consider that more of a party house, right? But did you know that this dude, he's like an architect, something or whatever, like they've done a study, and not only because open housing became like a huge trend. I'm going to say when. I'm going to allow you to guess why, right? Open housing became like a huge trend in like the early 90s and has perpetuated until today. But if you poll the people who decided to go with open housing, almost none of them like it more than they did the other way. And their reasoning is because when you have an open planning, nothing's ever clean. You can't get away from the mess. Like in a regular house where you got rooms, it's like you can just clean the living room and then close the other fucking doors and sit there. But if you got open planning,
main move is what you just said.
Me too, dude. Like sometimes, like I'll be, like I'm just like, if I can just get the kitchen looking good and where we finna sit looking good, I'll get the other shit tomorrow. No problem.
100%.
And because that's the thing is like, you talking about Katie having anxiety. Well, I got depression. And like a big thing with depression, I learned, and you do too, and maybe this don't affect you like it does me, but it's like, I always heard, clean house, clean mind or whatever. It's like, if your house all cluttered, it's going to fuck your thoughts up. And like, if you're depressed, by the way, please understand, I'm not saying it can cure depression. These are all just little tips to make you feel a little bit better so that you can heal yourself. And I have noticed
I think the leading proponent of this is a guy I think his name's Jordan Peterson. He's this guy. You probably really like him. You looked him up. He's like a thought leader guy. He's got a lot of interesting techniques, philosophies.
I'm certain that he says this. I'm certain he does.
He does.
But I'm certain he does. But my mama told me this in like fucking 2003 when I was in high school and wouldn't clean my goddamn room up. And I'm not saying he ain't even said it then. I'm just telling you, my mama ain't know who that motherfucker was then. Well, dude, every goddamn thing he said, like when Tom Cruise was like, when he was like, jogging helps your depression, like the reason he was wrong is because he was trying to say, and that's all you have to do. If he'd have just said jogging in addition to all these other things will help your depression, he's spitting. Like Jordan Peterson's not wrong. Like if you are anxiety riddled and depressed, I'm not saying a clean house will fix it, but a clean house is better for your mind than dirty one. Period. Right? And that's all I'm saying. Well, with the open concept, you have to clean the whole fucking house if you want that. You have to clean the whole fucking house, right? Have you guessed yet why they became more popular?
No, in the 90s, I got nothing.
Think of television.
Yeah,
HGTV started doing it because it was easier to fit their fucking cameras in the house.
And I didn't even know HGTV had been around that long, since the 90s.
90s, yeah. Christopher, or maybe it wasn't just HGTV, but like shows like Christopher Lowell and all these, sort of like Martha Stewart, all these sort of interior design fucking shows.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure HGTV's definitely been around since the 90s because my family, we were on it. Now, granted, that was in the early 2000s, but like the reason it was a big deal to my mom is because she was a longtime fucker with her of HGTV. But anyways, they started really pushing these open concepts because it was easier to get their whole crew, all the cameras and everything in the house, which like, if you look at an open house, it also looks like the set of a TV show. Like it does. Like if you went on the set of Friends, it just looks like an open concept fucking house, But anyways, yeah, that's it. And like people are really regretting it. And this guy's finally exposed and he's like, nobody ever really even wanted it. It was one of those sort of like, how like we didn't used to eat bacon and eggs until some motherfucker was like, breakfast is the most important part of the day. And then the most famous house TV channel was like, open planning. That's the thing, and everybody's like, yeah, it is.
People be sheep,
But,
people be following the crowd. Yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
So, I'll do whatever Katie wants to be done to our house or whatever. But generally speaking, like as far as open concepts or whatever you call it, I'm much more of a hovel type of person. Like put me in a dark den of shame. That can be closed off from the world. That's where I truly thrive.
I'm fine with. I told Amber, I said I'm fine with the one thing, the dining room and the kitchen being one thing. I'm fine with, but like living room separate. Bedrooms, I was like, I need, because like, dude, I don't want to. Also, like my house, like a Civil War house. It's a little bit. My parents' house predates the Civil War. Mine is like 1911, right? And I don't want to fuck that up. Like we start fucking with it too much, it don't look like a 1911 house. And like that's the reason I goddamn bought it. You know what I mean? Because they had rooms and all the rooms was different and they had character and like none of our doors even looked the same. And our windows is old as fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how we fucked up a lot of things in this country generally is by
couldn't agree more. Trying to make it better.
Things, tearing things down to replace it with new stuff. Because it's like because I think America, I feel like maybe we talked about this before, and I know we wrote about it a little bit in our book around here and over yonder. But
you can, by the way, it's the #1 travel book in both Scotland and England, #2 in America. You can grab it anywhere you get your books. I would suggest, by the way, listening to it on Audible because our dulcet tones.
Yes, and I feel like philosophically, America was like the great new frontier, like
which I get it,
like
new, fuck the old,
new, modern. We're like the tip of the spear as humanity goes forward in the future, and it's like and it's like because we ain't really have no old shit to begin with, and it's like we do the new shit. That's what we do, and so But now we've been around for fucking 250 years or whatever, and like we could have had some old shit. But because of the way we felt about it, we just kept tearing all the old shit down and replacing it with new shit that don't hit. And it's like, I feel like we've self-corrected a little bit. There's like the historic registry and shit like now, like people do be caring now in this country about old stuff more than they used to at least. But
without question,
like, the damage was done largely. Because it's like, dude, because most Americans will flip out if you can find some legit old shit somewhere.
Yeah.
We fucking love it because there just ain't none.
Well, that's
like truly old shit.
I know.
And you literally can't find anything that's all like Europe.
Well, you can
old,
if you can't find Europe old. Like if you rich, now they're bringing a lot of people are bringing it back. Like my buddy, I won't say his name. I guess it would be good advertisement for him, but I don't know if he would want me to do that. But he's the one that redid our house, and the reason that a guy like him fucks with the 1911 houses, he wants to redo those specifically because he gets upset how most people do them. He's like, no, he's like, I just want to fix the parts of it that might fall apart. He's like, I want to leave as much original as possible. And so, but John, fuck, it don't matter. I didn't say his company's name. He will go out and find, like, if there needs to be, and that's, it was an expensive house, but he's like, if we needed a door to match, it's like you can't just go down to the salvage and get a door like this because it was from John will he's got contacts to where he's like, hey, y'all got something and he'll fucking have it shipped in from another old house, in whatever, like we got an extra one in our barn, and it's pricey. It's like people are bringing it back, but it's definitely, you got to have a little bit of money to do it, but it's like like you said, it's so bad. It's like we just shouldn't have done it. But like, you know, the damage, you're right, was done. And like, even though like, you know, we said the oldest shit we got over here, like my parents' house, built in the 1850s, you know, late 1850s. That's youngish. That's called modern architecture in fucking England, right? Mm-hmm. Over here, it's old as fuck, but like, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And also, you motherfucker, it ain't coming down, bro.
Right.
That shit. That foundation's strong. That wood strong as fuck. Like, because them motherfuckers built that shit. They were like, we ain't leaving. This, what do you mean starter home? This right. It. This where we stay. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you had to like, you know, pack your whole family into a wagon to get to a place that you were like, maybe we won't die here. So it's like, you know, you throw down roots or whatever, and you stay. Because it's like, because back then, I mean, unless you was rich as fuck, well, there was tons of places to go, but like they all would kill you. You know? Like, you could die. You could die real quick going just about anywhere. I mean, of course, you could die doing literally anything back then. But
well, I know I was about to say, dude, the most popular game we played when we was kids was just about how you poop yourself to death in a wagon going from to Oregon. You know.
Okay, now that's come up, because I had a thing.
We need to take a break.
I know. That's why I was going to do it, but I'm glad. But you're on top of it too. Now that's come up, it's got a relevant segue to a thing I had kind of wanted to bring up anyway, and it's kind of related to what we were talking about earlier, even. So it'll be fun right after this. All right, here's a little PSA for anybody who rents out there, as I did for years and years and years and years. If you haven't heard of BUILT, you're about to thank me. I wish I'd heard about it back then. Earning points on rent is now a reality if you pay your rent through BUILT. That's BILT. All right, we know points hit. I'm a big points guy. I got multiple cards that you get points on, you know, and it's just you just gotta.
Was Marlboro Cash your first one? Camel Cash?
I mean, I had a lot of school clothes in my backpack as a child. Was bought with Marlboro Miles. Shout out Mama Cat. She bought me a lot of Marlboro Miles paraphernalia. Don't know if that'll hit for BUILT, but anyway. But we're just saying points are cool. This is much better than Marlboro Miles. Okay, you can get points on your rent, is what I'm saying. You don't even have to check with your landlord or anything. You can start earning points that you can use towards flights, hotel stays, fitness classes, even your next rent payment. All right, and we're going to break it down for you. There's no cost to joining BUILT, and as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent and on your everyday spending. BUILT points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even the ones you haven't heard of. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world you can redeem your BUILT points toward. Cho, tell them a little more.
Oh, dude, they can also be redeemed towards, like you said, future rent payment, which is unfortunately our biggest expense right now. It ain't used to be that way, but it is. Unique experiences that only BUILT members can access. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, I mean, why not? You know, you got to pay it anyway. So start earning points on rents that you're already paying by going to joinbuilt.com/POA. That's JOINBILT.com/POA. And make sure to use our URL so that they know that we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/POA to start earning points on your rent payments today.
All right, y'all, you know me, a big old fat lard as a child. Still am, but I used to be too. And as a fat kid, shoo-wee, did I love me some cereal. Lord have mercy. No healthy cereal. It's absolutely nothing remotely healthy. Pure sugar. Give me that fake fruit. Give me them fake cookies. Give me all that. That's a good, well-rounded breakfast for a fat American child, and I loved it. But I'm an adult now, and I'm trying to do better and be better. And I realize, you know, not only do I realize I can't have all that sugar, I don't want that much sugar anymore. It really is. You get older, and it's like sugar starts to. You learn what sugar did to fat. You learn about sugar's real agenda, and you don't want all that sugar around you anymore. But also, it's good to get lean protein and all that. You can't get that from cereals either, from most cereals, that is. But here's the deal. Then we found Magic Spoon, a nostalgically delicious cereal that tastes just like my childhood favorites, but without the sugar and with a ton of protein to boot. How about that? And guess what? If you're already a Magic Spoon fan, I got big news for you. Magic Spoon has turned their super popular cereal into high-protein treats that are light, crispy, and taste just like those classic crunchy cereal bars that we all love, except they actually hit for you. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are so delicious and become a favorite for me before working out, because before you work out, you need to get a little bit of energy, but you don't want to slow yourself down, so it's hard to strike that balance, you know, and Magic Spoon treats are the perfect way to go about it for me ever since I found them. Cho, tell them a little more.
All right, dude. I mean, this stuff is so great. On their cereal, every serving of Magic Spoon cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs, so you can feel good about what you're eating. The most popular flavors are fruity and cocoa, and there's so many more. And their treats, Magic Spoon's brand new treats are crispy, crunchy, airy, and an easy way to get 12 grams of protein on the go. And for the first time ever, Magic Spoon treats are available in grocery stores with delicious flavor like marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter. I'd also like to add, oftentimes I don't like the most popular flavors because I'm an outside the box guy, but there's a reason fruity and cocoa are the most popular, because they bang, boy. Get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/POA, or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/POA for $5 off. Magic Spoon, hold on to the dream.
All right. And we're back. So earlier we were talking about like how things have changed with parenting and that type of stuff. And just now we're talking about how, the dangers of traveling back in the day. And it's like, oh, you had, the Oregon Trail stuff and all that, the American frontier, Manifest Destiny, and how it was such a big thing. I'd never heard this story before, but I saw this on Instagram the other day.
I had it saved for today. Is it the two little boo-boo-dibbies?
The boys, the two boys, yes. In 1910.
That was the thing I had.
In 1910, 10-year-old Louis, I'm assuming it might be Lewis, but I'm going with Louis. Louis feels more old-timey. Yeah, 10-year-old Louis and 6-year-old Temple Abernathy. Temple Abernathy is a great old-timey name.
A boxer in the 20s. We got Temple Abernathy in the yellow shorts.
Yes, they decided, 10-year-old and 6-year-old brothers decided to cross America by horseback without adult supervision from Oklahoma to Manhattan. They crossed over 2,000 miles.
Yeah.
Their dad was a U.S. Marshal who was a good friend of Teddy Roosevelt and had been appointed by Teddy Roosevelt to keep the peace in the Oklahoma territory. That is, kill as many Indians as he could, I'm sure.
And Teddy was coming back from Africa, where I'm sure he was. Killed a bunch of stuff as he could.
Yeah, and the boys wanted to meet their dad's friend and the former president, Teddy Roosevelt. And, what else you going to do? You want to meet Teddy Roosevelt? You get on a horse in Oklahoma at 6 years old and you ride your ass all the way the fuck to New York City, 2,000 miles, which is exactly what they did, completely alone, no adult supervision the whole time. But people did find out about him doing it. It became kind of like a Forrest Gump jogging across the country type thing. People found out about him doing it, and it lit up the telegraph lines.
Like a good kind of Bonnie and Clyde,
Right, and the newspapers started covering it, and people were watching these young boys. It's like, so like the whole country was enraptured at these young kids doing this, but nobody was like, well, we can't
let them do it.
We can't help them. You know what I mean? It's like, we'll just see what happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure
seems like they got it. Yeah.
And they did. They made it to New York City, and they got there in time for a big parade Teddy Roosevelt was having, and he let them ride their horses in the parade down Manhattan in 1910 and 1911 again. So they are 11-7 now, or they'll be turning 11-7 this year, 1911. And that year, it'd be unreasonable to ride the horses all the way back. So
it'd be crazy, honestly.
Elementary school age children bought an automobile, a 1911 automobile, by the way. Think of what that meant. Like, they didn't even have windshields yet. You know what I mean? Fucking, they were like, just let the bugs hit them in the face. Nobody had thought about doing that. They bought an automobile and drove it back to Oklahoma by themselves.
That's when you could use an arrow-proof car, by the way. Not now. Then.
Yeah, no shit. But it's just, I think about that because it's like, me and Katie go back and forth on like letting our boys walk or ride their bikes to school and back.
Can I push back on something you said, though, before we get into this?
What did I say?
No, in that story, because I read further in the story, and you mentioned like nobody thought, oh, we should help them or whatever. Well, that's not entirely true. Like, that's funny, and I'm sure there were definitely certain people, obviously, that thought that. Because nowadays, you're right. Like, the second this story got out there on Instagram, it would be shut. People would like grab these babies and send them back home.
You're right. I didn't go far enough.
Let me try to emulate the quote because I loved it. It hit for me so hard because they were talking about. They said on our journey, we met so many wonderful people how many people helped us out, food, shelter, whatever, and we found that basically everyone, when pushed, will do the right thing and is nice and is kind or whatever. And I thought that was just what a great takeaway from that. Like. People, and I don't think that's changed for the record. at the heart of it, I don't think, like, I think if we look on the internet, we're like, oh no, people fucking hate each other. But I'm like, no, I really do think, like, you know, people would rather help you than hurt you, you know, and they help these kids.
I agree. Another thing, because I just didn't go to the final slide because I forgot about it. But you're right. They said the direct quote was that some of the people who had the least to give
gave the
were
most.
the ones who gave us the most, which is another beautiful quote from a vagabond child who rode the rails across the fucking country at 11 years old with his 6-year-old brother. But I was just saying, me and Katie, like, we don't let them walk or ride their bike to school. And it's not their school. Their elementary school was literally on the same street we lived on, right down the street. And they used to walk to elementary school all the time. Now it's a little over a mile away, but many blocks away. And we've gone back and forth on, like, because part of me wants to be like, hey, they need some independence. It's a good thing. Like, kids grow up, walking to school or biking to school. It's like a good suburban Americana thing. But it's just like, but then, also on the other hand, one morning the rapper YG crashed his Lamborghini into a fire hydrant right by their school while drunk at 8 a.m. Okay,
I don't blame you.
Sorry. Allegedly, by the way.
Yeah,
That's what the story was at the time. I'm not, maybe that was all made up. I'm sorry, YG. I know you're listening, but that's just what I heard.
Well,
that's what the rumor was. But so we don't let them do it. And it's like, then you read this shit and it's like, we all know the past is insane. Again, back then your baby had a cough and they'd give it heroin to sleep at night. So it's like shit was wild and fucking kids be dying all the time.
Also,
this is just a stark reminder of how much things have changed.
That's true. But at the same time, it's like we're hearing about this story because they made it. You know what I mean? And also like for every one of these kids, there's probably like 15 Chris McCandless. You know what I mean? Is that how you say his name?
McCandless, I think. I think it's McCandless, but you might be right.
Whatever. He dumb and stupid and
would
dead.
Be funny. It sounds like a made up name for some dude who, like you love candles. It's like, look at fucking Whitey McCandles over here.
It's so funny that in my head his name made perfect sense as Chris McCandless, because I assume, I don't know a shit ton about him, but I assume this seems like a real rich kid thing to do.
Oh, you know what I mean? You never seen the movie?
No, I didn't.
Into the Wild?
No, I didn't. I was going to read
we probably talked about it before because that movie's been a big pet peeve of mine ever since.
Yeah, okay, can I ask you, hold on. Okay, cool. Let's talk about it, because I remember I did read like the basics of the story when that movie came out, because I was going to read the book, and I remember being like, because obviously when I read the story, I found out what happened, which like nothing will make you as a 12 or 13-year-old make you not want to go see a movie more than knowing the ending. But when I found out, it's like, man, this motherfucker just crawled up in a bus and starved to death. What a dumbass. Like, I was like, man, fuck that shit. Like, I thought this was about to be a story of like survival. And it's like, no, it's just a story of, and I feel bad. I really do feel bad. I'm sure he was dealing with some shit.
Into the Wild. What's your pet peeve of the book
about it?
The whole thing. When it came out.
Why is it even a story?
The movie is well made.
Sean Penn made it, right? And Emile Hirsch stars, one of his breakouts.
Yes. And they're all great. Like, the movie's very competently made and everything cinematically. Sure. They all did good. And it's it's just the true story itself. Right. It just don't hit for me.
Right.
So it was like, because I remember watching it. So it starts, spoiler, but it literally begins, and I assume this is what actually happened. He is a very rich kid, trust fund kid. It's his like 18th birthday, and his dad takes him to a fancy restaurant and gives him a check for like $250,000 or something like that, and it's like, I don't remember what he tells him, but he gives him a check for that amount of money. It's like, go start a business that exploits the poor. You'll be, you're on your way, kid. And he,
and by the way, this isn't like the 80s. All he had to do was 80s
or 90s. Yeah, right. But his dad just for his 18th birthday gives him his check with all this money, and he rips it up and hits the road and lives life as a vagabond. And it's like,
idiot.
It's treated so romantically.
Dumb.
And white people loved it, and everybody's like, what a free spirit, and it was like, to me, the whole time from the very beginning scene, I was like, this motherfucker. It's like, do you know what people would give to have an opportunity like that?
This is a movie about someone going to Salina fantasy camp. What the fuck are you doing?
Yes, it's like hobo fantasy camp. Yes, it's like that type of poverty journalism type thing, except he was living it for real, but by choice, and that bothered me the whole time.
Like,
it's like, dude, don't fucking, I get that you're like, I see through the bullshit of my privilege or whatever, but like you still have it. And to me, it's insulting to just throw it away and just be like, no, I could be poor too. It's fun to be poor. It's an adventure to be a hobo or whatever. Like, and it's like, bro.
Be like, the poor people are the ones that are really having a good time. You know what I mean? Those guys. Those guys.
The scenes in Titanic where it's like all the poor people down in steerage just dancing their asses off and all that stuff.
I mean, obviously I've got white privilege, but I got like so many, me and you both have so many other different types of privilege, like, drinking during work. That's a huge privilege. And I've always felt like, and I don't need to as often as I do, but I have felt this necessity of like, man, if I truly got sober, all my fucking buddies who have to quit, who have to not drink on a Monday, they would be so mad at me if I didn't drink on a Monday.
You owe it to them and to the world.
And to the world.
To take advantage of the gift you have been given by the universe. Yes.
Rip up this fucking hit check. I ain't gonna do it. You know what I mean? But yeah,
and again, it also like it was hubris too on that guy's part, because it's like he didn't know what he was doing. That's why he ended up fucking dying in a bus in the Alaskan wilderness or whatever. It's because he shouldn't have ever been there. It's like, like, again, to him, it's this like,
and I'm sure
wanderlust, romantic vagabond life or whatever. But it's like, no, dude, nature will kill your ass. Like, you know,
everybody doing that wants a check for $250,000.
Right. And people do that because they have to live that way or whatever.
Yeah, they have to live that way. And like, and you like, all you gotta do, like, you getting a check for $250,000. All you gotta do is go ask one of your daddy's buddies, what should I do with this? They'll tell you. You do that. You just sit on it, and then you can go fucking do all that shit. You know what I'm saying? And on your way, you'll be making so much interest on that money, you can give it to hobos. You know what I mean? You fucked up. You think you're doing something for them? You threw away. Your dad ain't gonna do anything for them. You could have taken that fucking money and given it to them. You know what I mean?
Right.
You dumb motherfucker.
Yes. I hope that I'm remembering it accurately. That
I'm sure that he was severely depressed. I'm sure.
Like, give it away to other poor people or whatever, I would still be annoyed by him, but that part would be fine. But I remember him ripping it up, at least in the movie version. Maybe that isn't right. I don't know.
I'm certain that this could be true and just not be in the story because it wasn't in the zeitgeist then. But like, he probably had some fucked up mental shit going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He probably really did, and I feel bad for that. It's just that, like, to me, that ain't a movie. Like, there's like, I'm not saying every movie has to have a happy ending, like truly happy. Like, I think Gladiator is one of the greatest movies of all time. Fucking Maximus dies, bro. You know what I mean? Maximus dies.
Spoilers. Yep.
Yeah. My bad. But like, this movie, what's the point?
It's one of those like odes to a free spirit type thing.
Fuck
like, what
you.
What is life really about? You know, type of deal,
and not dying. You idiot!
Right.
It's about not dying like a fucking moron. That stinks.
I bet circle back to these two little fucking trail urchins from the early 20th century. These two, like,
they had to have money too. They bought a car.
I was telling it. I know. I wondered that part too. But it's like, I brought up like the truth, dude. I could not, like, they wrote, put me in Oklahoma, give me a horse. Fuck, dude, honestly, fuck a horse. Like,
dude, fuck a horse. I would have to after 3 weeks.
Back then, horses that's how you got around. If I had grown up back then, I would probably know how a horse works better than I do now.
But you don't drive if we don't have to.
But right. But I can operate a car. But put me in Oklahoma with the primary mode of transportation at the time. So in our case, a car, right? But no fucking nothing, you know, no cell phone, no GPS, whatever else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And tell me at 38 years old, tell me to get to New York City. I could eventually make it there because I could stop and ask people directions and shit. But like,
after I sucked a toothless truck driver off between here and fucking Johnson City,
fucking 6-year-old, a 10-year-old on a horse back then is like, how did also
how they
didn't even have interstates. Now you could just, if you can get to an interstate, just follow it east. And you'll get to the fucking ocean eventually.
That's true.
But they didn't have...
I'll say this.
They didn't have none of that. Literally, what did they do? How did they do it? The stars? Like what? I don't know.
Well, you know what? You know what it is? I'll explain
Indians?
Definitely
Their daddy was killing all the Indians, it seems to me.
And that's what they told him.
Allegedly.
They were like, you better fucking help me out or him and my daddy and Teddy. You know that's another thing too. Yo daddy wasn't friends with Teddy Roosevelt. If your daddy hung out with Teddy Roosevelt, he gonna raise you different. You know what I mean? You're gonna be raised different. Because like my buddy...
Do you think That makes me wonder. Do you think that he had eyes on them the whole time?
Probably,
you know what I mean?
Dude. It was probably a political stunt.
Right. Yeah.
It was.
That's
why when he said all those people helped
the story
him,
hit so hard for me when I read it, but now that I'm actually thinking about it, it's like their dad was like
it's still impressive. I don't give a fuck. It's still impressive.
Well, they still did it, I guess, whether people were watching them or not.
I don't give a... Look, if you send a 6 and 11-year-old off right now, and even if people were watching them, as long as those people were just like, we're not going to get in their way, we're just going to make sure some bullshit don't happen. And they made it using planes and all that. I'd still find that to be impressive. It's still wildly impressive. And I do believe that these kids was built different because, again, they daddy was like into fucking Rough Rider, son. You know what I mean? But I ain't going to say his name, but my buddy, Big S, his fucking son, he used to drive us to fucking Tennessee games when he was 9. 9.
Because Big S was drunk.
Yeah. And hey, now, boy, let me tell you something.
1970 shit, right?
Yeah, and let me tell you. And by the way, the 9-year-old, huge, like could pass as a, 14-year-old, huge. But like, not only that, like, you know how nowadays when people get like, you'll be like a fully autonomous car or whatever, people still like, I'd get in one, but I'd still be like on my P's and Q's. You know what I mean? Dude, Big Ass just fucking put his hat over his eyes, fucking just, all right, straight, and then fucking, whatever. And like, little some bitch could do it, and this was 2000, whatever. Like, I'm just saying, like, that's, some kids got that spirit, that just
yeah, that's one. And I know it's your buddy, but
yeah,
I feel like that's kind of a gracious way to assess that. Some kids got that spirit. It's like,
I'm just saying, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Some kids have drunk daddies who make them drive them home.
Yeah, well,
and they don't want to wreck and die. Or whatever. They
and that's well. How do you think these kids' daddies was to them? Is what I'm saying. Like, probably a wild fucking lunatic and made them do a whole bunch of shit that normal 6 and 11-year-olds wouldn't have to. I'm sure.
Did you watch like westerns and shit? And I'm not saying they're documentaries, but I bet the type of thing happened all the time where it's like, your ma coughed to death when you was 3. I've got to join a posse to go find this horse thief, or the railroad's going to take our farm. I'll be gone for 3 months. You're 8 years old. You're in charge, right? You're the man of the house around here. Yeah, right. And they just would just leave them there, just leave in like a frontier cabin with 8 sisters or whatever the fuck. And the oldest one is 9 or 10 years old, and the dad comes back, and only 3 of them died, and he's like, pretty good, pretty good outcome. Yeah,
the 3,
ain't that bad.
The 3 worst ones too.
Dude, the math or the past, the math of the past,
math don't hit either.
Fucking wild.
No, but dude, crazy. Like. You say like all westerns aren't documentaries. Like, yeah, that's true. But like all the best stories are based on a nugget. You know what I mean? Or based on a nugget of something that, hey, that shit did happen. And by the way, I wanted to, I'm always teaching you Bible stuff. I don't know whether it hits for you or not.
I know, I love it.
But you mentioned, I was talking earlier about my granny, like actually following what the Bible said. And these little boys sort of like, the way what you said that they said sort of really sums up Jesus's whole thing, because they said that some of the people who had the least to give gave the most. There's a story in the Bible where Jesus had been talking his talk, all that shit, and like he was collecting money for like a village or some shit like that, because like they had a bunch of poor people, and Jesus was going to take this money and help them out, and he was like, motherfucker he could turn 2 dimes into a fucking quarter. You know how he be.
Sure.
But anyways,
this sounds like some commie shit to me. These people, they couldn't work for this money.
No, it's it's wild,
man.
Just
want a handout from Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. He's a little red-bellied piece of shit sometimes when you read about him. John would not have hit for John Wayne. I can tell you that much right now, contrary to how much John Wayne said he hit for him. But anyways, this like priest or something, like all decked out, and they used to wear like they would wear these shirts with all these like jeweled tablets and shit on it that kind of sort of looked like military rankings, but just to show how hard they hit at priesting or whatever. Well, this priest gives Jesus what, like, let's just hypothetically say in today's money is like $250,000 or something like that. A bunch of fucking money. Gives it to him. Jesus is like, thank you. We will use this for good or whatever. And this little old lady comes up and gives Jesus 1 shilling, right? With 1 shilling. And Jesus fucking falls apart, and he grabs this woman, and he's fucking like kissing her. Bless you, woman. He gives it back to her, I think, at one point. And this priest is like, the fuck? And Jesus is like, what? And he's like, this woman gave you I give you $250,000. You didn't say shit. This woman gives you 1 shilling. You're losing your goddamn mind. And Jesus goes, you don't understand. that's the only shilling she has in the whole world. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
She gave me everything. You didn't. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, first off, you know, I'm halfway on the priest side because I'm like, you ain't got to give everybody everything. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like that woman shows what true love and compassion is like, I'll give you something and then I won't have it no more because I'll figure it out. You know, I'll give you the shirt off my back, you know?
A couple of stories that brought to mind from the real world instead of the made up ass Bible, although that, you know, the Bible was hitting there. But
dude, the Bible often hits.
Right. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of good shit in it. But after September 11th, which was 9/11, everybody,
2001,
like the big one hit. Yeah, 9/11, yeah, specifically 2001, that particular 9/11, which stands out to me from most of the other 9/11s. It after that one happened, the Maasai people of Kenya sent 14 cows to the U.S. As like,
that's beautiful.
Sorry, you're going through this shit type thing. And again, like you were just saying, it's like that's all I have. That's a big ass deal.
Hell yeah, it is.
There's another one. Let me see here. Let me find it. Yeah, and then also during the Irish potato famine, the Choctaw Nation sent $170, which was everything they could scrape together, to the nation of Ireland in 1847 during the potato famine. And to this day, there's a big, they got a pretty hidden, actually, I'll try to find it, see if I can show it to you, because it does hit a monument they built in Ireland.
Choctaw people?
It's called to the Choctaws, called the Kindred Spirit Sculpture, and it's pretty fucking rad. I'm gonna share it right now. Sorry if you're
Choctaw, that you about couldn't hit for me
listening.
Harder.
Yeah, sorry if y'all are only listening, but yeah, this is the Choctaw monument in Ireland, which
that
is
fucking rules, dude.
It does, you know.
See, man,
we know, you know, Indians love feathers. We all
they
know
do.
That. But they do love feathers. Feathers do.
There ain't nothing wrong with loving feathers.
No, feathers hit. Feathers do hit.
I guess the thing that's wrong is
like they made it all gay on this day.
They did.
That's fun.
Chief sits on deck. Oh God, I'm sorry. You just reminded me of two tweets that I really wish I'd saved, but they were for this show earlier when you were talking about how you don't think that you'd ever hit, you know, at any time in the past or whatever. You're like, well, I guess if that's what you did back then. Someone was like, every time I talk about how tough people were in all these different generations or whatever, I'm like, I'd have never been that. And they've been like, oh yeah, you would have, and been like, no matter what fucking time, no matter what as a man you had to do to be a man, I would still be the drunk motherfucker in the town pub pretending I was philosophizing, going, you know, sometimes things is and sometimes things ain't. And I was like, yeah, I'd probably be that guy too. Just fucking getting by on being a dumbass, like hoping people would buy me beers.
Oh, bro. I mean, I always think about it in terms of like, if I was just born into that time's equivalent of what I was born into in reality,
you'd be dead.
But with the exact same genes, the exact same person, right?
You're way better off now.
I would have been a peasant or serf or lower for almost all of time, so I wouldn't have amounted to shit. But then B, like just my eyes alone, you know, I had to have 2 surgeries on my eyes to fix them. I couldn't have done that back then. I would have been legally blind if it was a time before glasses.
You wouldn't have been a fat kid.
Anything. And they couldn't. No, I wouldn't have been a fat kid. So that does hit. But like, you know, and a peasant, a serf that can't do serf stuff because he's blind and stuff. Like they just, you know, just fucking drawed and quartered me for fun or whatever.
You'd have just been like Robin Hood
war, use me as
a
cartoon.
Bait. You'd have been used as bait.
On the front lines or something.
They'd have covered you in
cannon fodder. I would have made great cannon fodder
at
most points in the past. But like, yeah.
They'd have covered you in poop and threw you in near the wild boars and waited for them to come out.
Diseased poop. They were like, you know, they were like, should we use corpses for this? Because we could just use corpses to spread this disease into this keep we're besieging. It's like, no, take his fat ass, cover him in poop, and catapult him into the walls of this keep.
Have the boy collect his own poop this week. We don't
like
need
your own switch. Yeah. Rub yourself down with diseased poop so we can hurl you over the walls of this keep of our enemies.
And then one of them tweets was directly related to what you just said, which was an Irish person had tweeted it, which was like, how old were you when you found out that the Irish potato famine was actually just England stealing all our potatoes and all our food, you know, because it was, you know. Like, that's all it was. And
a lot of that is like that, you know.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the. I mean, I think some of this is when we took that
when
trip
I was a
over
kid,
there.
I was just like, you can eat different stuff,
right?
You know,
yeah,
like
yeah. I mean,
probably
not if all
serve
you
some
got
of you
is
right.
potatoes.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, they used to also the English would do a lot of fucked up shit in Scotland and Ireland, which is why they don't hit for either of those peoples to this day. But they would like take land that could be used for farming and stuff that could feed people, and they'd give it to some nobleman just because, and it's
after
just
the war
his
or whatever.
estate, and he wouldn't use it right. He just given him as a gift, and they kicked native people off of it.
Well, they become the slaves.
And and it's just, you know, and that was happening for years. You know, the British, you know how they be.
And that's why I ain't trying to hear it. You know,
no, me too. I know.
I
remember when I first like kind of realized that. Well, it's not the first time I realized it, but I was early on in my hitting experience, like 2017-ish. There was and I don't know whatever happened to this. I assume it came out over there at some point. I never saw it, never asked to, but there was a British documentary crew that followed me around for like a weekend.
I was with you. I remember this.
It was in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Is where it was. And they the guy, I remember they were going into the whole, like they were doing, you know, about the South and like just talking a lot of passive aggressive shit really about.
Was it the Trans-American road trip thing?
No, so actually I'd forgotten that until you said that this was a different.
I was about to say, because I still have a credit for that on IMDb and I've never seen it in my life.
Yes, there was two different British documentary crews at different points. But anyway, the second one, just being passive aggressive about like, the first one, they were being passive aggressive about the South being poor and fucking dumb, all this shit. And they brought up like, you know, having fucked up teeth and all this shit. And then also like incest. And of course I was like, I am not going to hear nothing from the fucking Brits about having shitty teeth and fucking your cousins, just so y'all know.
Yeah.
And then a similar thing happened when in the second
we acting like the Royals.
They were talking about just the South, the Confederacy, all the bullshit we had done or whatever. And I was like, yeah, well, I mean, you know, I feel like England kind of did some fucked up stuff too. It's like you guys, I feel like we learned it from you, Dad. You know, it's like you guys sort of did that to the whole world for a long, long time. So I don't really want to hear it.
Also,
and it's like they're both of them both things don't hit.
Also,
but it's just
fucking also. The only reason that we should have lost, I'm glad we lost. We were not righteous. We shouldn't have. But the huge reason that we lost, because like, first off, it's not quite Germany almost defeating the world, sure. But the South, like that war realistically should not have lasted that long. You know what I mean? This the federal goddamn government against some guerrilla fighting fucking rednecks in the woods. Now, you know, if we're all sitting around drinking and we game it out, we're like, no, actually, I understand why it was close, you know, but really, like nowadays, it would never, because again, different weapon. They got drones, we don't, whatever the fuck. But like, the fucking English were on the goddamn South side at the very beginning of the thing because of cotton exports. And one of the only reasons that the fucking South ended up losing the war is because they lost the support of the British, because they could no longer beat around the bush on the whole, like, it's about slavery thing. And famously, they had gotten rid of slavery before we had, right? And that's how you know we fucked up, when the British got rid of slavery long before we did, right? But the British at first was like on the South side because of the cotton and tobacco trade or whatever, and they were giving us a lot of resources and making it close, and they finally cashed out towards the end because they were like, this don't look good, they still have slaves, this is about slaves, whatever the fuck. So double fuck you, you know what I mean? Like double fuck you, like fuck you in the ass, you fucking limey pricks. We love our British fans, also, all of you. It's just don't come over here talking shit. Okay?
The dude this happened to at the time, he was like, yeah, no, that's true. You're right. Like he very much owned up
and most
to
of them are.
He was cool about it, but
yeah,
I
get defensive, even though I am glad we lost.
Speaking of Brits and being cool or whatever, I got a clip I want to show you right after this break we're about to take right here. We'll be back in just a second. All right, y'all, listen. Here's the deal. I'm shaped weird. I think you know, met me in person could attest to that, and that's fine.
Amber just brings it up sometimes.
Yeah,
we'll be on the couch and be like, Trae's shaped weird.
I am
not
shaped
bad,
weird.
But weird.
My proportions are strange. The most practical way this has affected my life is in finding clothes that fit the way they ought. It's like anything that fits around me the way that I want it to doesn't fit lengthwise the way I want it to. Also, me and Cho, we're carrying a little extra around the midsection, especially as we age. You don't want that part showing, right? But you want the hitting part showing if you got, you know, all right shoulders or whatever going on, which, you know, you want to accentuate the important areas like your arms and chest. My chest looks all right with a shirt on, right? But the shirt's got to fit right. And you still want to give your midsection some breathing room. But I'm saying all this to tell you about True Classic, our sponsor today, because they've got all this covered. The shirts that they have are designed specifically to make your dad bod hit harder than you ever thought possible. It's tight in all the areas you want it to be tight in, and loose in all the areas you want it to be loose in. They also make pants, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. So, you know, I'm trash. Part of that is I wear the same pair of jeans. When I get a pair of jeans I wear them till they're worn smooth out. Like I wear them all the time. I don't wear another pair. I wear that one pair repeatedly over and over again. The day I got my True Classic jeans in the mail, I threw my other jeans in the closet, switched to these, and I've been wearing them consistently ever since because they feel like a damn pair of sweatpants, but they look like jeans. How much harder can a thing hit? I ask y'all, okay? That's what True Classic does. They've got premium clothes that fit well at an affordable price. The total package, right? You can build the perfect outfit in 5 minutes or less because everything they got, it all goes great together. They got best-selling T-shirts, hoodies, jeans, and more. They come in packs of 3, 6, 9. Damn, you fine. You wear True Classic. That's right. Cho, tell them more.
Well, I'll tell you what, buddy. Yeah, and I've been wearing them for a long time. I was glad they jumped on board because they're the only thing that makes me look halfway decent. And the thing is, man, like, you know, I'm just a little thicker than a Snicker. I don't know what to tell you. It's not horrible. It's just that, like, I just be the way I am. You know, I carry it decently well, but I tell you what, everybody that's ever told me, you know, you carry it decently well has told me that on a day that I was wearing a damn True Classic shirt, right? But it's also cold where I am. I don't know about y'all. They got the long sleeve Henleys, the fleece hoodies, like Trae was saying, you know, so it ain't just the shirts. Their joggers are fire. Actually, literal best joggers. You know, on here, I'll go ahead and give you a little behind the sausage. How the sausage is behind the sausage. The Chicago, that's a Chicago band. The only time I've gotten a compliment from my wife in the past, I don't know, ever is when I was wearing a pair of the black joggers from True Classic. She was like, damn, I really like those. 100% fit, guarantee, trusted by over 4 million customers. There's 200,000 5-star reviews. 200,000 people went out of their day to put a 5-star review. Level up your date night or everyday style with clothes that actually fit right. Just go to our exclusive link at trueclassic.com/POA to save. That's trueclassic.com/POA. Shop now and elevate your wardrobe today. For real. I know we got a bunch of chubby bubbies living in here. Get you some True Classic whiskey.
Have better sex with Blue Chew. You know Blue Chew, you know the deal. They've been hitting with us for a long time, and we hit with them. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for what? For your wiener, that's what. These erection-enhancing tablets help men achieve stronger, harder, throbbiner, turgider, bigger, more impressive, or longer-lasting hard wieners, erections for sexual activities. That's what I do with mine. That's what you should do with yours. All right, and now Blue Chew is putting its money where your dick is and offering you a month for free. The process is simple. You just sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew's tablets are made right here in the U.S. of A., prepared and shipped directly to your door. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead to get down, or you can be ready to get down whenever an opportunity comes up. The best part of the whole thing is it's done down there on the internet there, which means no more visits to the doctor's office, no more awkward penis-related conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy, running into your high school football coach when you get your dick pills. You ain't got to do none of that. Cho, tell them more.
I'll tell you what, a lot of people ask me, Trae, they say, Corey, does it work? And I say, my God, it makes your dick harder than trying to talk without the assistance of at least 17 hottie totties after doing shows with the Drive-By Truckers, the greatest band of all time all weekend. You know what I'm saying, dog? Also, Trae, if I may, I would like us to get together and come up with some more, even more synonyms for boners, because you were hitting for me there. Look, it is awesome. And Blue Chew won't stop until every man is bricked up like a brick house. That's the mission. They told me. All right. They're trying to get everybody the best sex of their life. And here's the deal, man. A lot of people told me, they're like, oh, you need that? And I'm like, it ain't that I need it. It's just like, I know it's one less thing to worry about. You know what I'm saying? It's just one less thing. Like, cause like the thing is, it's all psychological sometimes. Like some days you're just like, you got so much on your mind, especially in this rapidly deteriorating world where we got more and more on us. You ain't got to need to think about your wiener. Also, it just, I mean, I'm damn near 40 and it works better with this stuff than it did when I was 17. And trust me, it was fucking rolling coal at 17. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing sexier than confidence. Blue Chew can give you that confidence where it counts, and we can all relate to that. Make life easier by getting harder and discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try your first month of Blue Chew free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Thank you.
Get you a new dick.
Get you a new dick. Why wouldn't you? Old dick. Been done with that one.
All right, and we are back. This is a clip. This clip should, I think, hit even for the people who are only listening. I don't think you need to see it, but this is a...
But if you do, go to watchpoa.com. That's our YouTube, and at least subscribe. It really helps our numbers.
Yeah, even if you ain't going to be on YouTube watching the show, you could still go and subscribe. It would hit for us. But anyway, this is an early, screen test or behind-the-scenes footage from an early Alfred Hitchcock movie, right?
Oh man, you're speaking my language.
First of all, just the way he talks hits. We all know how he talks, really, or whatever. But it's funny in this. He's almost kind of hard to understand. Yeah. But there's one thing in particular that I'm hoping you'll take away from this. Not to put you on the spot.
That's okay.
We'll watch the whole thing, and there's just one thing about it that stood out to me. And that I'm gonna be honest. This is the context in which it even got brought up. But okay. This clip is almost 100 years old. This is from 1929.
Crazy.
And I believe the movie is called Blackmail.
Now, Miss Andra, you asked me to let you hear your voice on the talking picture.
But Hitch, you mustn't do that.
Why not?
Well, because I can speak well.
Do you realize the squad van will be here any moment?
No, really. Oh, my God, I'm terribly frightened.
Why? Have you been a bad woman or something?
Well, not
He sounds like Matt fucking Barry.
But you slept with men.
Oh, no.
You have not. Come here. Stand in your place. Otherwise, it will not come out right, as the girl said to the soldier. That's enough.
Dirty boy.
Yeah. Did you hear that last thing he said?
Yeah, he said it won't come out right, as the girl said to the soldier. Yeah, a little salty language there.
Exactly. That's you know what that is, right? Yeah, but no, the thing he just did.
That was a double entendre.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. He did, dude. That's what she said.
That's what she said. That's as the boy said, right?
As the boy said as the girl said to the soldier. Yeah, that's what she said.
As the lady said to the soldier. Yeah,
dude, I'm not kidding. When you first started this, I genuinely thought the thing that I was supposed to point out was that he had the exact cadence of Matt Berry, because he does.
No, he does. Yeah, this one is like, see you on the picture.
And the picture.
In the picture. But yeah, it's just it won't come out right, as the girl said to the soldier.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I knew that was a dirty joke or whatever, but like, it would have taken me a minute to go like, that's what she said. Perfect.
Wikipedia acknowledges, basically, like according to Wikipedia, that's what she said. Well, I don't know. I don't think that they acknowledge that this is the first instance of it, because I don't think he didn't. He's doing a thing he's heard other people do. I don't think he's inventing anything right there. But like,
but on screen though.
According to Wikipedia, that's what she said is the Americanized version of an earlier British joke device.
The cunt says what?
That originated as said the actress to the bishop. Okay. Said the actress to the bishop.
Banging. Yeah.
This is the story of where they say that originated from. So this ostensibly is the origin story of that's what she said, right? In a roundabout way. So it originated from a conversation between the actress Lily Langtry and the Bishop of Worcester. No, Worcester's the Boston. It looks like Worcester.
Yeah, I think it's Worcester.
Is it?
I think Boston.
Because in my head, it's like that's how they say it in Boston, but maybe it's both places.
Worcestershire, maybe. They be saying the Shire over there.
The Bishop of Worcester. It would be Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. They say Worcestershire, I think. But, I know they say the sure
Well,
part.
There's no sure on this one. It's just Worcester. It looks like Worcester, but I'm pretty sure it's Worcester. The Bishop of Worcester, I think.
Religious Mary.
The actress Lily Langtry and the Bishop of Worcester. They were at a country house weekend party, and on Sunday morning before church, they went for a stroll in the garden. While on their walk, the bishop cut his finger on the thorn of a rose. Over lunch later that day, Lily asked about his injury, saying, "How is your prick?" To which the bishop replied, "Positively throbbing," right? Which caused the butler to drop the potatoes in shock, right? Because of how ribald that was, and and baldy.
Scott.
Yes, and that is the purported origin of the phrase, as the actress said to the bishop, which later became in America, "That's what she said." But they do note on here that a version of it, "as the girl said to the soldier," was in this Alfred Hitchcock thing. So yeah, it's definitely not the earliest one. It says that it's frequently used in the that old Val Kilmer movie. Yeah, Val Kilmer, The Saint. Did you ever see that?
Yeah,
The 90s
I didn't see it, but I know what it is.
The books, that's a popular series of books from the 30s about that character called The Saint, and that phrase is used repeatedly in that book series, apparently as early as 1928. So,
that's amazing. By the way,
and it's like, a lot of people think, and I mean, I get why they think this, but a lot of people think that
we invented dirty shit.
Well, a lot of people think specifically, I thought a lot of younger people, because everybody loves the show,
Michael Scott. Yeah.
Michael Scott invented "That's What She Said," right?
Well, I knew he didn't invent it because my papa been saying that my whole goddamn life.
But I think a lot of like Gen Z people and stuff who grew up watching the show, they think that that's where it originated from.
Right. Which is
I
fair.
didn't know this. Not only did he not, I also knew that he didn't invent "That's What She Said."
The point of Michael Scott is that he would steal a common thing.
A very, very good point.
Yeah. He would never make something original like that. He would only do my papa's jokes.
So I knew all that, but what I didn't know was that that character doing that was also from the British Office. Ricky Gervais's character, David Brent, he said, as the actress said to the bishop, he said the British version of it.
He sure did.
And that's why Michael Scott said "That's what she said" in the first place. He sure did. But,
and I'm just now putting that together.
Right.
I've watched enough of the British Office to get it and stuff. It's not my favorite. I like it. It's not my favorite Gervais. Almost every Gervais thing I like more than The Office, even though I like The Office. Mm-hmm. Ironically, the Ricky Gervais's Office isn't one of them, for some reason. I don't know. Maybe just because I saw Our Office so much more before I saw his,
And I saw this, I remembered this, that they used it a lot in Wayne's World.
You sure did.
The sketches and the movies. They used it repeatedly throughout there.
But my mama had to tell my papa to cut it the fuck out all the time at Christmas. Back when our families, were together and meant something to each other. And by the way, he was the most normal sumbitch in there. You got to send me that clip though, by the way, because I as someone who
Hitchcock.
Yeah, because I've never seen him with hair like that. And I've seen some old shit of his, but everything of his looks old because it's fucking everything. Literally everything he ever did is old. Mm-hmm. But just the oldest him shit I've ever seen. I've never seen him with hair like that. And he also he had a bit more pomp to his voice. Mm-hmm. He wasn't quite down here yet. And I don't know whether it's he wasn't
youth and vigor,
or he wasn't as pretentious yet. You know what I mean? He didn't seem very pretentious there.
Both,
but it's funny. It's funny because, and I think I've done an episode on Hitchcock. I don't know if I have or not.
I think you have too.
But either way, he's sort of one of them Paul Thomas Andersons, where you would think that person would be way up their own ass and pretentious, but everything you read about them in their private life, it's could not be further from the truth. And
but wasn't Hitchcock? And you did do a episode on him, and I just don't remember the details. But I mean, wasn't he he was like a tyrant and an asshole in a lot of ways, wasn't he? He mistreated actors and shit like that.
Without question.
Yeah, I'm not PTA. Paul Thomas Anderson.
I don't mean that.
You would think Paul Thomas Anderson would be
because of his oeuvre,
fucking, not gothic Tim Burton, just because so many arts.
Daniel Day-Lewis is his boy,
and sniffing his own, his own butt all day and that type of thing. But if you watch interviews or listen to Paul Thomas Anderson, he's just like a dude who hangs out and he hits. But
and I've talked to people who know him, is that true? And they're like, that's absolutely true. And it's bro, he's married to Maya Rudolph.
That's my favorite combination of people. Someone who can produce stuff like that without acting like the way you would expect someone who
couldn't agree
to
more.
me, it's when a great artist does great art shit,
and it's like it's just
you kind of roll with them being
of course
insufferable. You're like, well, you'll have that. So, but when you have one of them who just hits as a dude,
it's great.
or a chick, that's great. Like one of the hittingest type of people on earth. And you're telling me that Hitchcock was like that, but he also was a shithead. So.
No. I don't mean that he was like Paul Thomas. I shouldn't have. The only reason I said those two is because they both made, high art. A lot of people look at Hitchcock as like, one of the great auteurs, which he is. But like, he was like, he'd drink a whiskey and eat a hot dog and watch a ball game with you and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like a lot of them types would not be, fucking, the baseball is invented by the bourgeois to, confuse us and keep us distracted. We must make art, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't like, I don't think he was like that. But yeah, I mean, dude, PTA is also married to one of the greatest comedians of all time in Maya Angelou, and there's no way don't. What did I say? Maya Rudolph, not Maya Angelou. Sorry, somebody Hitchcock.
Maya Angelou also hit.
Also hit. I think she might have been up her own ass. Fucking, come on, dude. A bird, really? A bird? That's your big thing? I'm kidding. Maya Angelou ruled. But Maya Rudolph, which by the way, Maya Rudolph, also an otherworldly fucking insane talent who can sing, dance, do all this shit. But like, she's one of the funniest people to ever live. She gonna keep them up. There's no way she could be married to a person that was pompous. You know what I mean? It couldn't happen. Or maybe he used to be, and she beat that the fuck out of him.
I don't think so, dude. Because I've heard people tell stories about, it's like we be at Largo and stuff sometimes, and because cool. back in the heyday of Largo in the '90s and stuff, he was there hanging out all the time. Obviously, when all these other great comics were coming up, and Patton Oswalt and Sarah Silverman and Zach Galifianakis and all them. PTA was just there hanging out, and so there's tons of stories about how, and that's pre-Maya Rudolph, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and there's tons of stories about how
Adam Sandler is pre-Maya Rudolph.
He just like hung out and just hit for people.
Also, like,
it was just a guy.
Boogie Nights, is his breakthrough, like, or whatever. Well, I love it too, but it's also a fun fucking movie. Like, what I mean? I mean, like, obviously it's depressing and like it's definitely, the messaging of it is high art and stuff like that. But like, also a lot of my bros like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that he's got that in him. I don't know if you saw his
Do
one.
You know that scene
the one before
Boogie
that.
Nights where I may stop me
where Doc Ock is on cocaine doing and they're listening to Sister Christian.
We talked about that before, didn't we?
Doesn't matter. No, it's just that if anyone ever says that scene from Boogie Nights, that's the one I think
that
of, because that's my buddy Danny.
And towards the end of it, when shit really pops off or whatever, he focuses in on Mark Wahlberg's face, and he holds it for a long time,
shows his deterioration,
and you can see Mark Wahlberg. You can see him. All this, it's just like, what? How did I get here? Yeah. What has happened in my life? What the fuck is going on? Like, you can see all that in his face, and you can, but I found out, and I'm pretty sure this is confirmed to be true. That shot that you see, Mark Wahlberg didn't know the camera was on. They had been shooting for hours, and he was just like he was just zoned out. Yeah, and PTA, the camera was on him, and they got all that footage of him zoned out, and PTA
was like, "This is
put it together like this looks like this." But what Wahlberg was just like, thinking about fucking titties or whatever. He was just spaced out, staring off into nothing, not even knowing he was on camera at the time, or that they were rolling at least. That became one of the most iconic
ever
points of a very iconic movie, and it's. That type of shit. I just love that shit.
Me too. I think me and you've talked about this a bunch with like what Gus Van Sant did with Good Will Hunting, and how some people, you'd always hear these guys go, "Oh, we'll find it in the edit." And I always, when I was like, I make stuff now, usually that I have written and whatever, and I was like, "What do you fucking mean you'll find it?" I would never have that much confidence to be like, "Don't worry."
I still feel that way, honestly. When I know that people do it, but in my head, I'm like, I would never do that.
For the record, I've found something in the edit, but I didn't leave it up to that because I'm not that brave.
Well, that's different. To me, it's like different. You got a script that hits for you. It's like, get what's in that script.
What's in here, and then if you got funny people, whatever, you can fuck around and play around. If something hits harder, then you use it. But dude, you hear these stories of this is actually another thing I wanted to bring up to you. Do you know on the show, because Hollywood fancy stuff, do you know the story about Adrian Brody on The Thin Red Line? Mm-mm.
Adrian Brody, dude, was coming off of the youngest
The Pianist,
Best actor Oscar winner ever for The Pianist. He was
I
29 years old. Yeah, 29 years old.
Best actor, because the younger best actress had won it. Yeah,
best actor specifically. He was 29 years old. He was coming off of that, and he gets cast as the starring role, the protagonist in highly acclaimed director Terrence Malick's World War II epic, The Thin Red Line. It's a star-studded cast. They shoot the whole thing. He is the main guy. That movie is based on a book, and he is playing the protagonist of the book, dude.
Yeah.
He gets there on opening night, and he's in like 3 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
They cut the protagonist out of the movie and cut another character, Jim Caviezel, Jesus himself. They cut his character into being like the main character of the movie when they shot the whole thing with a completely different thing. And I don't know how.
I don't either.
I can't wrap my head around shit like that.
I can't either because
like what was how did it work out?
Right.
If you had a plan to do it this other, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
You know?
You'll hear the stories of like, you know, they've got over 200 hours of footage to edit. And it's like, I know there's a lot of shit in there, but that shit has to follow some shit that make that shit make sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, exactly.
And so you would have, to me, it's like you had to planned it with that, knowing that like this would follow this. Now, like, I totally understand how, like, I know there have been movies made where they shoot it one way and then they decide, you know what, let's not go linear with this. Let's maybe do this backwards. Let's show the story backwards. And to the actors and everybody who'd read the script and shot it, they see the movie and they're like, fuck me, this is totally, which, like, dude, Mark Wahlberg probably watched that movie and was like, I had no idea. You know what I mean? I had no idea. Cause like, even though they both wrote the script, right? There's this like thing where Ben Affleck was like, actually was more of the co-leading man with Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting, and Gus Van Sant cut a lot of that shit to more focus on Matt, you know, and it didn't piss Ben off, for the record, but it was kind of a different movie.
He had co-written that script. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
You know what I mean? It was like partially his movie, no matter what they did.
Exactly. But I'm saying he agreed that it was better. Like, right. And Gus had just, there was no plan. It's just when they were editing, he was like, fuck that, this, heighten this, leave it here. And this is the story. You know what I mean? And again, I heard that and I'm like, but still how? but still how? But like, yeah, so they saw a thing and they were like, that's not at all, which granted, like, you know, people don't understand when you shoot a movie, like everybody ain't there the whole time, you know, like you just got your days that you're shooting. It's like, dude, there's been movies where two really famous people are both in it, didn't fucking see each other one time during the shooting of that shit. Like, didn't see each other one goddamn time. Like, I'm lucky that I got to see everyone on the set of Zombieland too, because like, you know, they all have scenes together. Like, so that was great. But oftentimes you go do your fucking, so this is why people are like, why were they in that piece of shit movie? I was like, bro, they might have just read their sides and was like, this part's fire. And they shoot it. And then the goddamn editor does some crazy ass wild shit. And then they put it out and it's like, yeah, that's a stinker. The way I did it was good though, you know?
Yeah. So many, yes, dude, especially for people that just purely are actors and they're not part of the producing or writing or anything of it. It's like, they don't
just doing a job.
They don't know. They have no idea what that's going to end up looking like. Like you said, they have their scenes or whatever. And of course they all have access to the script typically. But still, because the way editing and all that works, and they're not that, you know, they don't know how it's going to turn out.
You're just taking right. And again, but what I'm
so
saying
much
is like,
of what you do too is like, you know, you have to think like, I mean, this could hit, but it really depends on how they present it, how it's pulled. You know, you just don't know.
You know, and again, though, you really can the edit. Like, if they decide to go in a different direction in the script, like if the script was really fire and everybody agreed, like that's, hey man, this fucking was fire. Like, it can fuck up what everybody did a great job. Everybody did a great job, and then they decide we're gonna do this. We're gonna leave this one thing in here. You know, like, oh, and I just heard this one. I'm so glad we're on this fucking tip right now, talking about movies and shit. Legends of the Fall, right? So Brad Pitt had a lot of trouble during this movie, apparently, like just getting there. He felt like they were making his character Tristan like too emotionally available, and he's like, buddy, I'm from Missouri. He's like, men in my time weren't like that. They goddamn sure weren't, you know, back then. And they're like, yeah, but this is the book, you know, this is what we want to do. And Brad, I got this from Hits, Flops, and Other Illusions, Ed Zwick, because Ed Zwick, that was his movie. I don't know if he produced it or directed it or what. And any goddamn way, there's a scene where, and we all know it from the movie, where Tristan's brother's wife almost kisses him. It's almost a thing, and he don't do it, right? Well, originally they had shot a scene where he do it, and they had shown that to a fucking test audience, and everyone flipped the fuck out, and they hated the goddamn movie because from that point forward they could no longer trust Brad Pitt. They they make that one change. They edit that one fucking, they just take it to the point they're about to do it, and then they stop it. One of the best movies of all time. You know what I mean? But he filmed it where they kissed him, but like one of the best movies of all time because of that shit. Like, that's wild. That's wild as fuck. Like, think about that, man. Like, 1 millisecond, it takes you from Oscars and lasting relevancy to bargain bin at Walmart, maybe. You know what I mean? Because again, I mean, once he broke it down, he was like, you know, what they were saying would make sense. He's like, that's early on in the movie. He's like, if you fucking hate Tristan for the rest of the movie, that movie ain't gonna hit for you. Like, you've got to like this guy.
Yes, obviously this is an extreme example, but you were talking about Good Will Hunting, and it's like, and they never intended to film this, but everybody knows the story. Matt and Ben wrote a scene into the script where they have graphic homosexual sex with each other.
I want to see that cut though. If they had filmed it.
They did that because that's
the only reason Gus Van Sant signed on.
They suspected that people were not reading it. So they give it to people to be read. And it's like, if no one brought that up, they would be like, this motherfucker didn't read this. And it's like, I respect them doing that. That's a great idea. It's like the whole, like the thing with the brown M&Ms or whatever.
For people that don't know, you hear that. That's like always the go-to example of like,
was that Led Zeppelin who was supposed to have done that?
Led Zeppelin, I think, supposedly started doing it. But it's always like the example now, even if you don't know who banded it, it's the crazy out of touch rock star who demands too much in his writer for the green room. And it's like, yeah, some of these guys will say you have to pick out all the brown M&Ms out of their M&Ms. But the reason that they do that is so when they walk into the green room and they see that the M&Ms are there without the brown ones in it, they know you read the writer and that everything else is fine and they don't have to question it. Which that's kind of
actually smart.
It's real smart.
Some poor motherfucker still has to do that stupid shit. I know,
but dude, when you are on the road, that's where you live. And when you're Led Zeppelin, you do need your room set up.
I would argue, and it's like, I'm nowhere.
You could just do it yourself.
Approaching Led Zeppelin. No, I would just argue that, you've been out there with me. You like, we don't do that. I could argue you could tell either. No, we don't do that. That's my whole point. The writer that we have was very straightforward, very simple. And it's like,
they still
you can tell immediately, in my opinion.
I agree.
Like, you walk in, you're like, they didn't even look at the writer. Or you walk in, you're like, okay, they clearly read the writer. Like, you can tell without doing some, weird over the top, like purity test thing like that.
Maybe, but we only had like 4 things. We used to have like cigarettes,
we
wine,
didn't have pyrotechnics, and all that crazy shit.
That's who does the pyrotechnics, by the way.
I mean, that is true. Pyromaniacs, but like,
you think there's some out there? It's like, I never thought I'd be into fire.
No, absolutely
not. No,
from the time they was
born, they were like
their parents' couch on fire.
Yeah, they were like, I'm either
3-4 years old playing with a lighter. Yeah,
I'm either going to kill women at 3-year intervals in San Francisco or go on tour with Led Zeppelin and light shit on fire. Yeah,
absolutely. But anyway, what I was going to say is, like, and I know it's an extreme example, but yes, Matt and Ben wrote that gay sex scene in there to make sure that people were reading it. But like, imagine that one scene was included in that movie.
I know.
Right? I know. Well, it's like, I'm saying that highlights, it's like, well, yeah, obviously. Because that's an extreme example. But I'm saying it would only be one scene. Keep the movie exactly the same. And it's one of the best movies ever made as far as I'm concerned. But slide in one graphic gay sex scene between Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Just one, 90 seconds or less.
Yeah. 90 seconds? Jesus.
60 seconds, 30. Well, this is just
that's
for
a
me.
long
that's
time, bro. Well, I'd love it. Yeah.
90 seconds is, you're right. That's a crazy amount of time.
That's a long time to be.
Well, is there build up? Is there like romance involved?
Well, yeah, because you got to
cut to thrusting and then back. You know what I mean? It's like the whole thing doesn't have to be butt fucking. You could have.
Because these are some Southie Boston boys. It'd be rough butt fucking. It would not be sensual.
Because they are Southie, but you would have to do just a quick smash cut to that. Smash cut to that, 10, 15 seconds, hard butt fucking, and then back to the story. Yeah, the other version wouldn't work. But even if you did that version of it, I'm saying, like, imagine
the difference,
the effect that would have on the legacy of that movie.
In 1994,
you know
for sure. But I'll make you this argument right now. And by the way, I'm not trying to get into any wokes taking over Hollywood. I'm not saying, I don't give a fuck about none of that. I don't think it's true. Even if it is, I don't care. I'd argue that in order to make Good Will Hunting stand out, if it was made in 2025, you'd kind of need that scene. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's just, oh, poor little white boy. You know, got hurt when he was like, and then he punched a bunch of people. It's like, you put that butt fucking scene in there. It's like, see,
you know, you're very possibly right. That hurts. I don't
know
me.
that I am. I know
it hurts
I'm
me
saying
to think that might be true because
it'll hurt you then, but it
because
won't
to
now.
me it's like, you know, to me my whole thing is like, but dude, he's, you know, he's from a fucking poor ass rough fucking upbringing. It's like that counts as. You know, he's not a regular, you know, it should. It's like, I know he's white, count. But he ain't regular white. It's not a regular white story. It's like, this is still a struggle.
But you know what, Trae? How much more artistic
and all that, but
how much more artistic it would be to show that guy could also take one up the butt,
get his butt fucked.
Well, because he could. There's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of intellectual, poor people who get in fights, who hate the fucking cops, who represent themselves in court, who also suck dick, right? We live in a multicultural society. And by the way, that movie would still hit for me if that scene was in it. I just don't know if I'd ever seen that movie because it wouldn't have, you know what I mean? Like
right.
it wouldn't have done. It wouldn't have done.
No.
While we're talking about actors and therapy and stuff, I did want to share this quote earlier. Robert Pattinson is big heavy in the news because Mickey 17 is coming out, which I can't wait. Can't fucking wait. But also they just started filming on Batman too. And he gave this great advice to young actors, which I really like. It's kind of the similar advice me and you have given to young comedians when they tell us what to do. Here's his advice to young actors. Get in therapy now or become a serial killer or kill yourself. What do you think? What
are your three options? Yep.
Pretty astute.
Yeah, you know, I think that's true for, well, I mean, I don't know. There's people there are these mythical people out there who like are fine and they're good and they're so wild to me, but they do exist, you know, and I think most of them are, I don't know.
Wait, what do you mean?
Meaning
they don't have depression.
I was going to say, it's like, I was about to say, it's like, I think you could say that to almost anybody, you know, it's like, you know, fucking get in therapy or be prepared to be all fucked up.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. But
then I thought, it's like, I mean, I know personally, I know at least a couple of people I can think of who like, I know them well. And I know for sure, like, no, they all right. They just all right. Some people it's like we were talking earlier, they had like good parents and a good upbringing and everything, right. You know what I mean? And like, they turned out well,
but they stick out. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of people didn't. It's like, we'll stay on the Matt Damon train, right? So, you know, he's being interviewed that one time. He's striking for teachers or whatever, and he's there next to his mom, and he fucking just bodied that motherfucker.
Bodied him. Yep.
It's unreal. And
his mom's a teacher. Yeah,
his mom's a teacher, and he's like, you know, he's like, well, you know, he's like, don't you have an incentive to be an actor? Because he's like, incentive. He's like, I want to fucking act. That's my fucking incentive, you know, whatever. And then he's like, well, aren't 10% of people in any job suck at it? And he's like, well, I don't know, maybe you're a shitty cameraman, whatever. Anyways, that's sort of the same logic I've always used when they go, you know, all comedians, it's like all comedians are depressed and fucked up and all actors are depressed and fucked up. And I'm like, brother, I just got to tell you that I think it's just all people. It's just the ones that you see the most are comedians and actors.
That's like what Penn says about it too. I've heard that's
how I feel.
Because that's a big thing, especially in the comedy world. People want to bring up. There's been whole documentaries about it's like, do you have to be fucked up to be a comedian? And I know over the years, I've seen him on multiple podcasts and stuff. He pops up, and when that comes up, Penn Jillette's whole thing is like, that's just how people are, man.
Right, man.
Like, you know,
because to me, like somebody, I keep bringing up Twitter, but I've been sick, so that's all I've been looking at. But somebody tweeted, they're like, they said if you get President's Day off, your job don't matter, which is an insane thing to say, right? And I was
in the midst of all this, like firing federal government employees or whatever. The federal government gets it off, and
I have such a different perspective on that because, like, as a comedian, I don't have any federal mandates. Now, granted, also, which means in my brain, I don't have any time off. It's like I could either be promoting or writing or whatever, but like I don't have any set days off. But I look at the people who do have jobs that have federal holidays and stuff, and I genuinely think I would need a frontal lobotomy to do those fucking jobs. Like I would need, like those people are way tougher to me than me because I do whatever the fuck I want all the time. Now, I'm brave in the sense that I struggled through the part where no one cared and gave me money and made it to the part where I got real talented and they do give me money. Sure. You know, I'm not going to not pat myself on the back for that. That was difficult. But like, so what too would it have been if if I was now in year 21 of working for the fucking bank or working for or being a goddamn teacher or any of that shit. And I'm like, I know someone in every single one of those jobs and they mentally ill as fuck too, is all I'm saying. Like the term go postal, it ain't go comedian. You know what I'm saying? Like, goddamn, bro. Like we just all fucked up.
I know, but I also, cause I used to do that. And also
I did too.
That type of job, I mean, and it drove me insane. But like, I used to, because this used to drive me crazy because I've said, but it's true. Like I knew people at the time who like, it legitimately hit for them. They were like,
did you go home with them?
Content. They were happy. A couple of the people I'm talking about, I knew.
What about that person you told me one time that you thought that, and then they was cussing in the bathroom?
About that guy. Yes.
How many people did you not hear have that meltdown though?
I'm talking about people I know.
Yeah.
Like people I know very well, like closely, and like. I used to be so jealous of those people more than anybody else.
Too.
Frankly, I still kind of am to this day.
Well, like I know one of them.
They do exist. Like that whole, it's a famous story in the fucking entertainment world. I know it's come up on here before. I'm certain it has on all of our podcasts. But like, I first heard Jerry Seinfeld retell it, but it didn't come from him. But the story about the band up in the Northeast in the wintertime, they've got a gig. They break down. Okay, so they got a gig. They break down about a mile away from the gig. They got to drag their equipment through the snow. It's faster to cut across people's yards to get to the gig. It's snowing, so they cut across people's yards, hauling all this equipment.
Start sleeting,
dragging ass through the snow. It's sleeting. It's fucking miserable out there. They walk by this suburban house that the windows are open, the curtains are open. It looks like a Norman Rockwell painting. It's a mom and dad, 2 kids. They're eating a big smoking ham on the table, and it looks like a Norman Rockwell painting, the actual absolute picture of Americana. And one of the band members says to the other one, God, could you imagine living like that? Right? And it's like, and that is
perfect.
It is perfect because that is how like we artists and creative types think. But that always, it's not that it bothered me, but it bothered me that is true. Is what always bothered me, because it was like, because again, for me,
but the joke is that's how fucked up artists are.
I know right? That's true. But for me, it was always, I know that's how the vast majority of people be, but for me, it was always, I had more like envy. Like I wouldn't look at that and be like, ugh, gross. No. I would look at that and be like, God damn, if I could just, if I could do that and be okay or whatever, I would give anything.
Me too.
That's how I always felt about it.
There would never be a part of me that went, ooh, fuck these people. It would have been, man, I wish I had it in me, you know? Like, I wish I had it in me.
Don't get me wrong, y'all. Not like it has worked out for both of us. It's worked out. So, like, now I wouldn't change anything about it. Now it hits around. I'm saying, like, I just think a lot. If you hang out with people who do creative shit, any type of entertainers, whatever, you know that attitude is prevalent from the very lowest level all the way up. And it's people like, that are at like the people that 95+% of people are never going to make it. Never going to make that actually happen.
Right.
And I just always was very cognizant of the fact
that you grew up actually shitty.
Those people would be much better off being able to make just a regular life and enjoy it. They're like cursed in a lot of ways, but they, you know.
Yeah, let's make no bones about it. Let's make no bones about it. I was a starving artist by choice. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't have to be that way for me. I just always wanted to make, and mine was never even like, I swear to God, I didn't consider what I did art until I was like at least 19. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to make people fucking laugh. What do you mean?
19 is still pretty young. You know what I mean?
I know, but I wanted to do it since I was 5. You know what I mean? Right. Like, I've been thinking, so that's different. You know what I mean? Like, by 19 in my brain, I'd been doing it since I was 5, because when I turned 5, I knew I wanted to be a comedian. And I promise you, in some way, every single decision I made going forward, for better or worse, mostly worse, was in service of that goal. Whether it be watching movies, taking time to write jokes, just trying to make my friends laugh, learning to be a better storyteller, whatever. And to this day, like, almost everything I do subconsciously is in service of getting better at this dumb fucking thing. You know what I mean? So to me, it was never like, fuck this bourgeois life. it was just I liked making people laugh, and there was nothing more that hit for me than that. And I couldn't stand the thought. I have to do that. Like, I have to do that, and I have to do it in the way that these fucks are doing. And also, at the time, it was just white guys doing it. Why wouldn't I think? I didn't know I was going to get here, and they's going to be like, no, just the Muslims. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't I think it would have worked out? You know what I mean? By the way, I'm kidding. It is different now. It was just all, for real though. When I was a kid, it was just all white people that they let do it. That's true. Did you know, speaking of which, and people in their families taking different routes, like all the Farley brothers, you know, not the Chris Farley and his brother John and whatever, like they all were into, you know, comedic acting or whatever. And of course, Chris blew up or whatever. But did you know
Kevin also has been in stuff, right? He made
Kevin and John does. I mean, I see John pop up in some stuff too.
Okay.
Like they both
Kevin like, probably did that one. There was like a Tea Party era conservative comedy, right? Yeah. Am I wrong? Like,
I believe you're right. Yeah.
Like this is pre-MAGA era, but this is a
Nick
comedy.
DiPaolo
That was the whole
thing.
Like, this is a comedy for conservatives.
Right.
And I think Kevin, because he was making fun of Michael Moore. It
Right.
was like he was spoofing Michael Moore, and he was the main character in this comedy for conservatives. Anyway,
well, so that
was Chris Farley's brother.
Well, that kind of checks out because did you know that Chris Farley's cousin is the goddamn CEO of Ford?
What?
Chris Farley's first cousin is the CEO of Ford. I swear on my life.
What?
I don't know. I don't know. Now, you know, Farley's dad was not like, I don't think he was insanely successful, but he was a fairly successful, I kind of want to say automotive, maybe sold cars.
Wasn't it like, wasn't a lot
of that based on
Tommy
him?
Boy thing was like based on reality kind of?
So there you go. I mean, their family's in the automotive thing.
Actually, I guess you're right.
It makes sense. Yeah. But dude, CEO, like being a CEO anywhere is wild and is crazy to be able to do. But Ford, motherfucker, like that is, it's not like they were like, well, we'll let him do it because he was Chris Farley's cousin. You know what I mean? It's not like that got that for him. Like he good at CEO shit. But anyways, no, I just found that to be wild. Like obviously I was reading, like Chris Farley was like a huge idol of mine. Definitely the first person that I cried over that I did not know who the fuck they were. You know what I mean? That I did not. And then I think honestly, the only other one that I've done that for is Robin Williams. Like those are the only two people who like they died and I didn't know them, and it felt like someone that I knew died. You know what I mean? But anyways, I've been reading a lot about him because of course fucking Sandler, class act during SNL 50, still took a big chunk of his time to throw it up to Farley and Norm and everybody. And I was just reading, you know, back on Chris Farley because I knew that Paul Walter Hauser movie was finna be made. And I saw that on his Wikipedia and it blew me the fuck away. Like, goddamn, like they both hit so hard, but it's such completely different things, you know?
Paul Walter Hauser is about to play Chris Farley.
That's the yeah. So they had the Paramount.
He's
the only one I trust.
Talented.
It's gonna be hard.
That's
but I trust
gonna be
him.
a hell of a thing. Yeah, because like he's super talented, and obviously he a bigger boy. But like
I don't think he'd do it if he didn't think.
But he ain't. They're
pretty different. They're very
right.
Different.
I know. Yeah, Chris Farley's kind of one, right?
Well,
exactly.
The rumors of this biopic have been out there for fucking. I mean, since he died, like '98, everybody was already trying to make it, and I'm pretty sure it's kind of the same with like the same thing about Richard Pryor has been the case, and like you hear any black comedian talking about it, why this movie never gets made, and they go, well, it's because nobody wants to be the one to fuck that up. You know what I mean? Like there've been so many black comics attached to it that you go, oh no, they could do it. But then I'm sure that they were like, dude, but if I don't, I'm the guy who fucked up the Richard Pryor biopic, you know? And like Farley, I guess Carlin is like our Richard Pryor, but Farley ain't not on that level in terms of you better not fuck this up. You know what I mean? But when I heard it was him, I was like, I trust it.
So I found the movie. It's called An American Carol. An American Carol. It came out 2008. Rise of the Tea Party. Obama. This is response to Obama and Michael Moore and all that.
I forgot what we were talking about.
An anti-American filmmaker who's out to abolish the 4th of July is visited by 3 ghosts who try to change his perception of the country. Right.
Amazing.
So obviously these guys show up and show him how fucking awesome America is, right? And the protagonist is based on Michael Moore. His name's Michael Malone, and Kevin Farley played him. Kelsey Grammer plays General Patton in this movie.
I bet it kind of hits.
Leslie Nielsen plays a character called Osama bin Nielsen. Trace Adkins plays the Angel of Death.
Hey, Trace Adkins can fucking go, son. He can act.
It was made by David Zucker of like the Zucker brothers, whatever.
Oh, man,
he's a conservative. Yeah, right. He's a big conservative, but he's made some of the funniest movies of all time. So
dude,
it's like
also he's what all these dudes actually are what conservatives used to be, and it's like
right,
that's fine, dude.
Totally fine.
I'm not saying that his stuff holds up, but like Bob Hope, one of the most famous comedians of all time, a lot of them fucking dudes were conservative because it didn't mean I don't give a fuck what anybody says. It didn't mean the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But either goddamn way, like I mean, by the way, for real though, you didn't say no, you may have snickered, I don't know, but like Trace Adkins for real can act. Like he for real can act. Have you seen Old Henry?
Yes, I have.
Dude,
the movie hits real hard.
Trace Adkins fucking kicks ass in that movie, and I'd seen him in some other stuff where I was like, you know, maybe like years ago, I was like, okay, he's serviceable, serviceable, whatever.
He's
but like,
good at the thing that he does, is what I would say.
That's all you have to be.
I mean, that's true.
That's all you have to be, man. Like,
but
there's
it's
some
like
people
I feel like it's like he's a version of the dude that he always is cast as, and he's good at being that, right?
Okay, but it's still hard to be good. You know what I'm saying?
It is. Yes, you're right.
I'm just saying, like when I first,
I ain't trying to,
I'm
make
not
him out to
jacking
be
him off. I don't think he needs to win
with range or
that's
whatever.
not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is he does good enough that I know he cares and tries.
He hits it right. Yes.
But I know that he tries and wants to be good. Like he's not just like, put me in there, I'm fucking Trace Adkins. Like I think he cares. I think he really wants to be good. You know what I mean? And like that often doesn't happen. You got to go.
Speaking of people who care, I do soon. If you have a couple of one or two airmail for us, I got to get out here because I got to go pick my son up from a after school thing.
You're such a cute boy. We do have some great airmail. Fuck me. I thought that I had. Did I send you? I need you to read those one of them other ones because I forwarded them to you and I don't know where the fuck they are. I'll read. Look up what I forwarded to you from our friend. You know what I mean? I want to give some context.
Yeah, I did not realize you were sending them to me to read later.
I wasn't. I was sending you so I could find them, but I can't find them for some reason. Anyways, I'll read this from our friend Rebecca. Request for Cho and Trae. This would fulfill a Venn diagram for you two boys in that Trae likes outer space and sci-fi stuff, and you're more conversant with the Old and New Testaments, Corey. Okay, now, before I go any further, I would like to say, just because I know more about the Bible than Trae, don't mean that the Bible hits harder for me than sci-fi shit does. Sci-fi shit hits for me real hard, I would say, as much as it does Trae. Anyways, y'all do Ancient Aliens, please. It covers all the Bible, talking about how Christ was different, and she's talking about he's an ET immigrant or whatever. And it explains techno religion. I don't know exactly where she's going with this, but yeah, you know what? Fucking Ancient Aliens is free on Freevee or the Roku channel. So like, I guess I'll watch that. We'll talk about some Ancient Aliens. That show's kind of wild. Do you have the thing pulled up?
You sent me two? Do you mean the one that's talking about how wrong you are? The one that says Corey's wrong about serial killers?
That's fine too, but it's mainly just about who it is that sent it. I wanted to shout him out because I had
Chinese hillbilly.
Yeah, Chinese hillbilly.
Gotcha.
That's her buddy, and I'd fucked up. And
okay, all right, yes, this is from. I guess it can't say her name. I don't know if it.
She's a fan. I'll text her after this, and if we can, I'll bleep it out.
Okay, so yeah, this is from Jasmine. Bleep it out if you need to. It says, "Hi, fellas." Oh, that's the very next sentence. You could say my name if you read this on air. So funny when that happens. Anyway, this from Jasmine says, "I beg of you, please do the Chinese culture episode of Putting on Airs. I volunteer to be your cultural interpreter if you need one. If you need help with pronunciation, I can provide written guidelines and audio files of me reading the names and words you need help with. Both the way I learned was correct from a lady in Beijing, and also the way it would sound when a hillbilly does it, but nails it." Damn, that's thorough right there.
I know, right?
So, yeah, being very helpful. I remember how this came up because I, at that time, was like, I had said, like, I'm about to get into Chinese stuff. And then, of course, I didn't.
Well, I
don't feel bad. I've done this with a million things. Guitar, the language of Spanish, so many different things. I've said, I'm gonna do this, and I just didn't. But
I don't mind providing context on my reasoning for not getting into too many Chinese things. And I say that because this person we know is the wife of a comedian. And therefore, I know has had conversations with him about similar things. I've always been afraid to talk about Chinese stuff like we do more European stuff, because like, you know, we be going in, we be making fun. Also, we often be doing accents. And, you know, obviously, you know, I'm not going to do that when we do the Chinese stuff, but like, it's just I actually talked about this on stage with Patterson this past weekend. Like, when I'm talking about Asian stuff, I'm like even more cognizant of my accent because I know how shit sounds. You know what I mean? And I don't mind sounding horrible to the fucking British, but like, that's a shitty reason not to cover what is truly, some fancy motherfuckers. So,
well, for me, it's honest to God, it's more like daunting than anything.
Yeah,
because it's so massive and far-reaching, and so there's so much.
It's George R. R. Martin.
It's also, it's like crazy and epic and goes on for millennia. That it's like, it's intimidating, frankly, if you don't know shit about it to begin with. But anyway, she continues, a word on my Chinese hillbilly bona fides. Love that. Mom is an actual coal miner's daughter, Anglo-Celtic descent, Pike County, Kentucky. The closest town with stores and such is Williamson, West Virginia.
That's thoroughbred for anybody that don't know.
On her 16th birthday, when her youngest brother was 9, she is the oldest of 5. She was living with her mama and teaching high school English in her hometown when she met my dad, who is the son of Chinese immigrants to the Philippines at a time when it was a U.S. territory that did not give birthright citizenship. My dad had just graduated from medical school there when then Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos announced that he would not allow foreign people to practice medicine in the Philippines. That's fucked up that any country would do that, take away birthright citizenship and fuck people over like that. I can't believe that any country with any sort of respect would ever do something like that. But anyway, wild. She continues, Dad applied for a job as a doctor serving an underserved rural area in the U.S. at the hospital in Williamson, West Virginia. And he worked with a nurse who said to him, I have this friend I grew up with I think you'd like. She's a radical. This was 1973. Less than a year later, my dad had to go to a residency in New York or risk losing his visa. He took off to Brooklyn and called her, my mom, and proposed over the phone. She accepted, loaded up her VW Rabbit with all her earthly possessions, and my mama chased after her car as she left, throwing trash and screaming at her for marrying a foreigner.
A Chinese guy,
marrying a foreigner, parentheses, and not even a white one at that. So that is some serious bona fides right there. And then she goes on to give some of the Chinese people's bona fides, such as gunpowder and the things they have in common with rednecks and all that. But says, ends with, many thanks for your consideration. I'm very much looking forward to recording the phrase, oh God, you gong gong si sao.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Which is, do you have a public toilet for your enjoyment? I can't imagine how much I butchered that, but thank you very much, Jasmine. We appreciate it.
We do. And Trae, tell everybody where you're going to be.
Yeah, so with that said, come see me this weekend. I'm in the Carolinas, Charleston, Raleigh, Charlotte, in that order. Next week, I'm in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, and Tampa. And then after that, the Northeast. And then including the Wilbur in Boston. Please come to the Wilbur in Boston. And yeah, a bunch of others in the near future. TraeCrowder.com. Come see me.
Hey, I'm also going to be in Charleston this weekend. We have the same booking agent. I don't know how that happened. I'll be there on Sunday. So after Trae's show, you know, if you still live there, you know, come see me at Wits End. It's a new comedy club I'm very excited about. It's Sunday the 23rd. Also March 20th, I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia at the Punchline. Both of these shows, I'm bringing my buddies Good Cop, Rad Cop with me. So if you've seen me with them before, you know it's going to be a good time. You can get them tickets at CoreyRyanForrester.com. And also for my bonus stuff, go to WeLoveCorey.com. And more importantly, stay fancy, motherfuckers.
Skew.
Here's Lydia Loveless.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trae and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cunt, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at putting on airs, putting on airs, putting on airs.